Greetings, folks, and welcome to Channel Other Doc. I am Jim. I use he/him pronouns, and today we are playing Blue Planet Recontact, a science fiction game set on a distant ocean planet. We have a guest GM today, once again, and so I get to try this out. I have absolutely no idea what any of this is about, but I just sort of grabbed a character and here we go. I am playing Drew Latimer, who is a pilot, and that is everything I know about this character. They use they/them pronouns, and we're going to go around and say hi to everyone else, see who they're playing, and we will start with Chris. Hello.
Hi, I'm playing Fish, and that's about as much as I know as well. So I'm not. We'll see how this goes.
Excellent. It's good to know virtually everyone is coming into this with some form of amnesia. That's good. And let's move over to a new face on the channel, Theater Nerd. Hello.
Hi, my name is Theater Nerd. Can I just say that I'm impressed with this game that they specifically put a pronoun section on their character sheets?
Yeah.
I think more and more games will go this way eventually. Maybe not, but it's always something I think about when I make characters. But I'm playing Maggie Merriweather, and I'm pretty sure she's some sort of ex-military, possibly now like game warden ? I don't know. That's the feeling I get. But that's about all I know. She, her pronouns. I go by they, them. I think that's everything I need to say right now.
Coolness. And finally, another new face on the channel, Ken. Hello.
Hello, everyone. As mentioned, I'm Ken Davidson. My pronouns are he, him. I will be playing Dancer, who uses she, her pronouns. And y'all, she's a dolphin.
Yes.
Do you need to know anything else? She's a dolphin.
I think that's really that really tells us, I think, so much. That is awesome. All right, and so now I shall hand things over to our GM today, Rock. Hello.
Hey, Jim. So I'm Rock. He, him pronouns for me. I will say that the inclusion of character sheets is probably going to be something that we will start seeing with more and more games, especially as more and more smaller independent gamers that are writing and publishing and producing games start to take over more and more of the industry. So I think that you're right. That is something that we will probably start seeing. So and then the other part of that is also probably going to be somewhat influence the game creator for Blue Planet, gentleman Jeff Barber. Is himself. He is a school teacher. He works with young adults and children and stuff. So I think his contact with newer generations is probably part of fuel with his awareness on those kind of topics. But the other part is if you look at previous editions of Blue Planet, his background as a science teacher is very evident. There's a lot of things that are very, very, very well thought out. So just to go into a little bit about the background of Blue Planet, I know we have a segment for during the breaks where we cover some of this, but I'm gonna try and keep this relatively short here because it is a lot of material. He presents an amazing amount of material. I think the core rule book is something like almost 400 pages, and only 100 pages are actually mechanics. So the short version of this is we take place on a planet that has been called Poseidon, and Poseidon is a water world. It is 97% water, if I remember correctly. So your largest land masses are still islands. And will typically be island chains and archipelagos, things of that nature. on Poseidon, the initial contact that humans had, it had been discovered at the other end of a wormhole at the edge of our solar system. And after a little bit of research, we finally sent people to Poseidon to go ahead and see what we could do as far as a colony is concerned. A colony was established, research began, and a resupply mission was planned. And it never came for almost 80 years. The people on Poseidon went native. They understood that eventually their technology, all of their computers and advanced things were probably going to break down and they were going to have to do without. So in order to survive, they divided themselves into groups. They spread out and they established additional settlements to be able to ensure the viability of the colony. And as can be expected, they started to take on a native aspect as far as things became a little more family centric and small groups. They weren't reliant on technology. Now, this is not to say that they were ignorant of technology and that they lost technology by any means. They still know how to use computers. They're just not reliant on computers for their day-to-day life. Meanwhile, back home on Earth, the reason why there had been no additional supply mission was because a blight had struck grain crops, and it spread across the planet unchecked, and it was devastating. Famines occurred, economies, societies started to collapse. The UN formed an organization called the GEO, the Global Ecology Organization. And this group was supposed to be scientists to research the problem, try to go ahead and stop the problem and fix it. But of course, not every nation is going to allow a bunch of scientists to come tropsing in and go ahead and just start running the show. So they also needed to form a military organization. They needed security for their scientists. And this is where the military aspect of the GEO comes into play. Now, anybody who has seen that show from the 90s called Sequest, you're probably going to go ahead and immediately start thinking of that show, and you're going to start thinking of the UEO from that show. Good, because that is kind of a lot of what the GEO is going to be very similar to. It is the combination of military and science organization that you would find from that show, that you would find from Star Trek. The GEO, it took them almost 80 years before they were able to solve the problem with the blight, stabilize things, and be able to go ahead and get things back going the way they were. In this time period, you have the rise of the incorporates. Basically, corporations that had used their security teams, their private security teams, to help establish law and order in areas where local governments weren't capable of doing so. They also helped to shore up the economies in these areas. And in doing so, they found justification to be recognized as city-states in and of themselves. So, at some point, somebody remembers Poseidon, and they decide, let's go see what's going on. Now, they didn't expect the colony to survive. They expected that they were going to have to start all over again. These individuals, these new colonists, are often referred to as newcomers. And so you have your original colonists, the natives. You have newcomers who have found this new planet, hoping to escape some of the despair found on Earth and find a new beginning. And then you have our catalyst, longevity ore, Long John, as it's called. A mineral found deep in the seas and underground of Poseidon, which seems to be the fountain of youth. Humanity has not yet unlocked all the potential of Long John. We just know at this point that it is magic of a very scientific nature. So Blue Planet, as far as the game system goes, Blue Planet is very simple. It's a 3D10 system, sort of. And by that, what I mean is you're not going to roll anything more than 3D10. It is a roll under system in that you will have a target number. Typically, the target number is a combination of your skills and your attributes, modified by some penalties or bonuses, depending on what kind of equipment or other abilities, biomods that you might have. The target number is affected, your roll is not affected. So if you roll a 5, you rolled a 5. You don't have to worry about additional math or anything like that. The target number is where the math will be applied. With your skill system, you're going to notice that your skills fall in 3 columns, and you may see that some of them are labeled 1d10, some are labeled 2d10, and some are labeled 3d10. These are to indicate increasing levels of specialization. And there we go, right there. Thank you. These are to indicate increasing levels of specialization. So, for instance, if something were to fall under the realm of being a cultural aspect or like local knowledge or something, that in and of itself might be just 1d10. If it was something a little more specialized, so from a cultural aspect, maybe you know not just the local city culture, but maybe you're actually familiar with gang culture. That would be something that might be 2d10. And then if you were to get even more specialized than that, that's where you're going to get 3d10. So the more specialized your skills are, the more dice you roll. And where that becomes important is again, you're supposed to roll under. All you care about is your lowest single die. So if you roll 3d10, the lowest of those 3 dice is going to be the one that determines whether you succeed or fail. The other thing that you're going to come into is what's called an action value. Action values are the difference between your roll result and your target number. So if you needed a 7 and you rolled a 2, your action value is 5. Where the action values aren't always going to be used for every single thing. They're usually very important when it comes to combat, initiative, things like that. Occasionally, they may provide a narrative benefit. For instance, if you have an action value that's 5 or better, maybe you don't take as long in order to research something, or perhaps maybe when you do research something, you get more additional helpful info that you weren't looking for or expecting to find. So that's going to be where your action values have a tendency to come into play. A difference between second edition and the new edition Recontact is that initially, if you had an action value that was less than 5, it really didn't make that much of a difference. Hey, you succeeded or you failed, whatever. If it was more than 5, that's where you had your critical success, your critical failure. Now, with the 3rd edition, it does become a little more important, because if your action value is 0, you succeed, but with a complication. So anybody who's familiar with Powered by the Apocalypse or Dungeon World, you're probably going to be familiar with this concept where you have failure, success with a complication, or just outright success. And so you are going to have that. If your action value is 0, you succeed with a complication. Anything between 0 or anything between 1 and 5 is just going to be a success. Anything with a 5 or greater is a critical success. The opposite end of the scale, anything from a -1 to a -5 is going to be a failure. Anything -5 or worse is going to be a critical failure. And that's, for the most part, that's it. That's how your skill system works. It's very straightforward. It's very simple, very easy to learn. There are going to be a few things I do want to go ahead and mention for 2 of our characters. So two of our characters are going to be playing transhumans, which is, they're beyond basic humans. They have had biomods that do give them some slight advanced features and abilities. But two of our characters, as Ken mentioned earlier, one of them is a dolphin. And then our other character, Maggie is a genetic hybrid. In the world of Blue Planet, there was some genetic modification that did occur. Humans weren't exactly comfortable with it, so it stopped pretty quickly. But two of the main strains that came out from the genetic modification were humans that were called Silvas, based off of the scientist, or named after the scientist who created the process, and cats. Now, cats, as most people probably are going to guess, those are humans whose DNA has been modified with feline DNA. So they do have certain feline traits as far as better hearing, better sense of smell, better balance. It does result in things like sharper canines, body hair that occasionally exhibits patterns, that kind of thing. Silvas had ape DNA added to them. And where this modifies is they have a tendency to be a little bigger. They, a little taller, a little stockier, a little more solidly built. Pronounced canines, they may have a little bit of a, some may have a lisp, some may not. Deeper voices, thicker body hair. But the thing to understand is that at the end of the day, these are characters that are still mostly human looking. They just have certain traits from their DNA that exhibit. For dolphins, some of the things to keep in mind for a dolphin character. During the history of Blue Planet, dolphins were genetically uplifted so that they were able to communicate and interact with humans on a fairly comparable level. Now, most of us that get into science and everything already know that dolphins are pretty intelligent as they are. But the uplift made them even more capable of interacting with us on a level that we could understand them. So I guess maybe we were uplifted to their level. Some of the modifications that were done with dolphins that were offered to them, and specifically your character, Ken, you'll notice, has genetic manipulators. Those are basically, they've been equipped with vestigial arms and hands. You're able to do some limited use of them. So you can kind of use hands, but it's going to be like a clumsy child as far as your ability to use them are concerned. Dolphins and other cetaceans, because the world of Blue Planet does include orcas, pilot whales, belugas, and things like that. Cetaceans interact with the world using cicadas, which are essentially hover drones. They also have small remotes that they can use to interact with the world in. And this is what allows dolphins to be able to interact with the world outside of the water and be able to take part in society. Something else you'll notice on your character sheet is you may see references to the Church of the Whale Song theology, and that you are a vision seer, which basically kind of puts you in the realm of being like if you were to look at a church structure, it would be like a church elder, almost a priest. This is not actually a religious organization so much as it is a spiritual and philosophical organization. So more along the lines of like Socrates, that kind of thing. It is an oral history that the very first uplifted cetaceans started, and it has continued from that point. And it's more about a way of living than it is about a belief in any kind of supernatural being or anything like that. So,
Right.
so those are just a few notes that I wanted to go ahead, a few things I wanted to go ahead and point out for your characters in order to make things a little, some things for you to keep in mind and make things a little easier there for you. So, before we get started, any questions?
I had specific character questions on the sheet, just really quick.
Sure.
I have a specialty in Seat culture, CETE.
Correct.
I see Seat as a group of badgers. So I don't think that's the Google definition is the same as the world definition. So
No. So, in the world of Blue Planet, there are two nicknames for dolphins and those kind of characters. The more derogatory term that's usually used derisively is to call them fins. Seat is the more acceptable term, and it's short for cetacean.
So okay, that makes sense. And then I have a core ability in GEO culture,
Correct.
genetic enhanced organisms or something.
That is the Global Ecology Organization.
Totally off. All right.
So perhaps maybe I missed out on that part. The GEO that I mentioned earlier, the sort of group that the UN formed in order to combat the blight back on Earth. The GEO has been part of this migration to Poseidon, and the GEO. You know what? Let me go ahead and do this real quick here because it is something that I forgot about. On Poseidon, you do have a number of different political factions. Okay. Specifically, one of the factions that is going to be in potentially have an effect on this adventure is the New Gaia Collective. Now, these aren't a bunch of, hippies or anything like that. These are xenophobes. The New Gaia Collective are basically people who believe that we don't need no stinking earthers. And that is a very hard line. They don't want anything to do with Earth people. The medicine was fine, the resupplies were fine, that's great. However, we've lived the last 80 years without you guys. You can go back to Earth and continue to screw things up there. They do tend to be portrayed by local media as ecological terrorists. But they're not really ecological terrorists. It would be more akin to the Irish wanting the British to leave Ireland, if you really wanted to kind of have a frame of reference. So they're not opposed to conducting violence and doing a few things here and there, but generally speaking, they're not terrorists. They're not, they're just xenophobes. Is really how the best way to describe it. Your incorporates, your city-states that I mentioned, the corporate city-states that I mentioned, they have started to come to Poseidon. They have started to establish corporate cities on Poseidon. So they are always looking to expand their territory so that they can mine more of the Long John and send it back home. And then you have the GEO, who is showing up on Poseidon, and they would like to be able to be the police force that they are back home, but a lot of their authority is more implied and assumed than it is official. So a lot of your folks that come to Poseidon, if they aren't indentured employees of the incorporates, they're going to be with the GEO. In your case, you have GEO culture knowledge, which just simply means that you understand how things work within the GEO's organization and its hierarchy and everything like that.
Bureaucracy.
Exactly. With Maggie, I just remembered you had a question about being a GEO warden. You're still part of the GEO. That's your day job. And you are very much a game warden. You basically, it's kind of anti-poacher, wildlife preservation, that kind of thing. That's your day job.
Quick question. I have a known mysterious and secret. Does my
Yes.
character know these or not?
No.
Okay, cool. That's
Your
fine. If
character, so Fish, Fish showed up one day. He was pulled out of the water. The limited background that you would know at this point is that you were pulled out of the water. You had been shot for some reason, you don't know what. You had a splitting headache, and some people took care of you. Those people were the founders of the organization involved with our story, Red Sky Chapter. Red Sky Charters. So Fish does not know their background. They have amnesia, which means that they also don't know why they have certain questionable skills.
Okay, I can work with that. I just want to make sure that, like, if my character doesn't know, then I don't need to know either. So that works. Okay.
Right. Jim, do you have any questions about your character?
I think I'm good. It's basically I used to be a pilot for the GEO, and have since basically now a tour guide, pretty much, as far as I can tell.
Basically, yes. You're a local guide. That is a lot of what Red Sky Charters is. They're your typical the kind of guide that you would hire if you wanted a tour and just to be able to see around the island, or know where the best fishing holes are, or if you maybe needed to go out to a particular point in the water, meet somebody, maybe exchange things, come back, not do it through official channels. All right. So are we good, or does anybody else have any other questions before we get started?
Now, I'm just going to stumble into it and ask things as we go along.
Okay.
That's just how my brain works.
Same plan.
I feel like it's better to actually get into it and roll, and you can correct us, or we can ask out of character for things our character would have knowledge on that we as players don't. Because
yeah, absolutely.
My brain's already overloaded with information at this point.
And that is one of the greatest criticisms that this game has actually received is that the player's guide alone gives you so much information that a lot of game masters are intimidated, which is why in the new edition, they are actually providing guidance on how to get started with a game. So again, just an example of how thoughtful the designer of this game is. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. I'm going to do it a little bit differently than the way that it's presented in the quick start package, just simply because of the fact that in the quick start there is kind of like a flashback sequence. And having listened to the podcast and read through the adventure myself, I feel that it kind of breaks the pacing of the game just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and present that information at the beginning and get us into things. So Red Sky Charters was founded a couple of years ago, about 6 years ago, by Uncle Carl. And you have this setting of you have a garage, figures probably kind of the 22nd, 23rd century equivalent of like corrugated steel, and it has a hydrofoil in it. machine shop, that kind of stuff, the kind of things that you would expect to be able to house and maintain a vehicle. Next to it is a what's called a biocrete, which is a sort of an organic concrete, a biocrete building. This is your office. This is your home. This is where the people that make up Red Sky Charters live. And being new, Uncle Carl is out front and he's having this sign put up. Anything, anywhere, anytime. And as the finishing sparks from the welding put this sign on the side of the building, and he stands there and he admires the work, and he looks at somebody and he just kind of nudges them and he says, I thought it sounded funny. And Aunt Etta shakes her head and walks in to start working on dinner. A couple of years later, we cut back. All of you, Aunt Etta, little Bethany, Digger, who is a fellow employee, sort of a cousin, are gathering around the table. Bethany runs off downstairs because she's remembered that her homework is lying out. And as you guys are gathering around the table, you're going through and you're having conversations about day-to-day stuff. Specifically, your concerns on how you're going to keep Red Sky Charters running. A few months ago, Red Sky Charters ran into a problem. You had just bought a new craft to be able to conduct your tours. And while Uncle Carl was out giving it a test, he never came back. No wreckage, nothing to indicate where, why, or even how he disappeared. Unfortunately, that new vehicle was not paid off. And so you are in debt to the bank. And you've had to start taking any job that can come your way using the only vehicle you have left, the Last Chance. As you're gathering together for dinner, there's a knock at the door. Aunt Etta goes ahead and answers it because she's already on that side of the room. There's a brief conversation. And as she opens the door, she turns around and she looks at you. She looks at Drew. She starts shaking her head, and it is very clear she is not happy that these individuals have come knocking. A man in a very nice suit walks in, and he introduces himself as Dmitry Gorshkov. Dmitry explains that he needs to charter your services now. There's a little bit of a discussion. You try to explain, hey, we're closed for the day. We're sitting down for dinner. Can you come back maybe a little bit later in the morning or never? Dmitry stresses the importance of his being able to go ahead and charter your services immediately. And when you refuse yet again, Dmitry shakes his head and he tells you, I'm sorry it had to be this way. And at that point, little Bethany comes walking in, and behind her are a pair of goons. Dmitry tells you, I'm sorry, I must insist on your services. A few hours later, the four of you are on the last chance. And you are circling a particular spot in the water. Drew is at the wheel. His hands are bound so that they are in front of him so that he can drive the wheel, but his movements are still restricted. Maggie and Fish, you are a little bit further behind him, kneeling on the deck. Your hands are bound behind you, flanked by a pair of goons.
When you say goons, you're talking like big muscular men that we shouldn't mess with, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Just curious.
Dimitri's holding this small device in his hands, and he's giving commands to Drew, and he's turn here. No. Turn, wait, stop the boat. This, what is this? This is not supposed to be moving around.
You brought us out here without knowing where you wanted to go?
Sorry, say that again.
You brought us out here without knowing where you wanted to go?
I knew exactly where we wanted to go. We wanted to go ahead and meet this contact of ours, but according to this, our contact is circling around us. This is irregular. What would cause this to happen? Now, the two goons that are keeping an eye on Fish and Maggie don't seem to have an idea of what to do. They keep looking to Dimitri for guidance. They look at you to make sure that you're not up to anything funny, but they keep looking to Dimitri. And Dimitri continues to look frustrated. Finally, he turns to Drew and he says, "You are a local guide. What could cause something to just keep circling like this?" And he shows you what looks like kind of a tracking unit, almost like a GPS unit. And you see a blip that seems to circle. And it seems to get closer to your location. And then it seems to drift away a little bit further. And then a little bit closer.
My first guess is that they've lost control of the craft.
Can I roll to see if I think it's something animal related?
Well, unfortunately, you, from your position,
Have I heard them talking about how they're circling and moving though?
You know what? Yeah, that's a good point. So what I was
thinking Geo Warden.
Yeah. So as a Geo Warden, I would say that it is possible you might have an idea. Let's take a look at.
Or otherwise, I know about the Poseidon Frontier. That's another one of my skill set. Part of another one of my skill sets.
I'll let you roll under Poseidon Frontier. I'm going to say that what this is going to be, so what you're going to have is it's going to be 2d10, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of an average thing. You might think of animals as being a possible problem for you because of the fact that you would be aware of aquatic predators that might be known for attacking small vessels. I am going to say that this is going to be, we're going to say wise.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and let you do it on wise. So being average difficulty, I'm going to say that initially your target number is going to be a 5.
I have 1 in wise.
Correct, which is going to increase that to 6. Okay.
How did That was not what I wanted. How did
Or
that
excuse
happen?
me, actually, let me take that back. So your target number, yeah, your wise. Let me rephrase that because I did the math on that one. Your target number is going to be about a 5. With Poseidon Frontier, your skill in that is 3. Your wise is 1. So you're going to be looking at your initial 4, but I'm going to increase the difficulty just slightly because of the fact that this is going to be kind of a fringe thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So initially you would start off with a 4. I'm going to increase it to 5 just simply because of the fact that this is going to be one of those things that it's kind of at the edge of what you might suspect. So you need to roll 2d10, and at least one of them needs to be under a 5.
1.
Okay. Which is very good. That is very good. All right. So it occurs to you there are a number of very large predators in the area that are known for having attacked vessels, especially small vessels. There's a couple of ones that kind of come to mind.
While this is going on, I'd like to keep an eye on the goons. And if I see opportunity, say to like knock them over the edge of the boat, knock them down, I'd like to take that opportunity.
Get yourself killed, but okay.
Okay.
I'm a dolphin, y'all.
Yeah.
Am I in the water like next to us swimming along, or am I in a tank on the boat?
I'm going to say that more than likely, I'm going to give you a choice here. Okay. You can either be swimming along underneath, or you could have one of your remotes on the boat. However, it will have been restricted. So if you are going to be on the boat and using your remote, you're going to have to take at least an action or two to free the remote from having been kind of tied down. The other option is that you can be in the water swimming, and because you have echolocation, you might have a better idea as to exactly why they seem to be going around in circles.
You're right. Yeah, I have both. Well, if you go regional knowledge, Poseidon survival, hunter as a specialty.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping to use hunter to try to hunt this thing down and go see what's going on if I'm in the water.
Right.
And I could kind of like pop up on the side. I mean, are they able to hear me? Like if I, you know,
Do we
like,
have like
hey,
a thing? Do we have like a thing in the boat where it's like when we're stationary that she can come up like underneath and like there's like a little diving thing, or is the boat not that big?
Like a moon pool?
Yeah.
I
don't know how big the boat is though, so it's probably
the last chance it doesn't have a doesn't really have a moon pool, but it's not necessary because you have so the way that humans and dolphins communicate is through interspecies, which is a combination of clicks and noises and whistles that dolphins make, as well as an interpretive sign language, in effect. But the other thing is that there has been development of some, I think they're called vocoder kind of devices. This is actually a piece of technology, out of game a little bit. This is actually a piece of technology that's being developed now. So for it to exist in Poseidon's time would be completely reasonable, where it's able to, on a base level, translate clicks and whistles from Dancer and it would be like a synthesized voice speaking for Dancer.
Okay. So could I use that technology to, I imagine I'm participating in the conversation and stuff like that. And I kind of want to say like, hey, you big jerks, if you let my friends go and pay us, then I'll go find your friends. How about that?
I don't like that, but okay. Because I have my own theories about what's going on.
Wow. we got a group full of fire today. All right. All right. So this Drew, as you're standing there at the console, okay, the speaker just pipes up, and this synthesized threat from Dancer comes just blaring through the speaker. You big dumb jerks, leave my friends alone. I'll find it for you.
Pay us. Don't forget that part.
Oh, you might want to be careful demanding money from the Gorshkovs.
See, my philosophy is always do work, get paid, but
What do you say?
Dimitri looks at you, Drew. Your fish has big mouth.
I mean, she knows what she's doing. She can probably find it.
Your fish finds our prize first. Letting you go afterwards. Not a problem. And he kind of leans into the speaker because he knows that you will have heard all this. And he goes, "What about it, Finn? We have deal?"
Yeah, I'll go find him.
And I think at that, Maggie's going to yell out, "Be careful, it could be big predators." As a, warning.
Thanks, Maggie. I'm a big predator, too.
You go, fish. You go. Please make it back. That's all I ask.
All right. So, with that, now, I'm going to let Dancer do 2 roles at this point right now. The first one is actually, let's have you start with the first one, and then we'll see how the second one goes. All right.
Okay.
The first one is first of all, we're going to go ahead and do a regional knowledge check. So you're going to start with 4, and unfortunately, your cognition is going to be a -1. So your target number is going to be 3 or lower for what you need to roll.
That's not very high. Okay. So am I just regional knowledge? So that's 1d10?
Correct.
Okay.
You can roll a 1 too. I believe in you.
Now, well, here, let's do this. Actually, this is a mechanic that a lot of people seem to forget. So, including myself, and I read about it just to make sure I wouldn't. So I apologize. All right. So, on your character sheet, you're going to notice that you have a small section there underneath your attributes that's called strain, and you have 2 mental and 4 physical.
Mm-hmm.
Strain is something that can be used to increase your odds. And it can be used in one of 2 ways. You can use 1 or more points of strain before you roll in order to increase your target number. Or you can use 1 or 2 points of strain after your roll in order to re-roll. Now, the consequences of using strain are this. You use it, you lose it. That's just all there is to it. until you have an opportunity to rest. So, basically the equivalent of like a long rest in D&D. So if you use the 2 points of strain now, you're not going to be able to use them until you get a chance where you can kind of like take a nap, get a meal, that kind of thing. If you decide to use strain to re-roll and you fail, not only do you still fail, but you also lose a point of psych. So your psych would go from 2 to 1 until you're able to rest. As soon as you're able to rest, it cancels it undoes the effects. But that seems to be a recurring trend with the groups that do this one shot, is that they forget about being able to use strain. Again, you can use it before the roll to increase your target number, or you can use it after the roll in order to do a reroll.
Okay. Let's use it before.
Okay.
Sounds great.
So in that case, what that's going to do is since you would have been at a 3 for your target number, it's now going to be a 4 for your target number.
Okay. And my Poseidon and Hunter aren't coming into play right now. Just regional knowledge.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Let's go. I have a die. Nope. That's a 9.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, the effect of that one is because of the fact that is going to give you a negative. Let's see. So you was 3. You rolled 9. The difference there is 6, which means that that's actually going to be a critical failure. So your regional knowledge is going to, for some reason, absolutely fail you in this instance. Maybe something in the water just kind of seems out of place. And so because of that, you, as far as knowledge is concerned, it's almost like being in an area that you're just completely unfamiliar with. You have no idea what may or may not be in this area.
Okay.
That being said, I am going to also allow you to do a similar check with echolocation. On this one, though, I'm going to modify the roll. Modify the roll. You would normally have your skill is 4, your cognition is -1, so normally your target number would be the 3. But I'm going to say that because of the fact that anything in this area that would attack a vessel is going to be extremely large, like boat-sized itself, and also because of the fact that there's this weird beeping noise, very cyclic in nature, just kind of beep, beep, beep kind of thing. So I'm going to say that's all going to play in your advantage. Normally, we go with a rule of 2 with Blue Planet. I'm going to say both of these things are in your favor. So we're going to bump your number by 4. So you need a 7 or less on a single D10.
Okay. Let's just do a straight roll this time.
Go ahead.
3.
Got a 3?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so 7 minus 3, action value is going to be 4. Cool. All right. So you are able to get a sense of where this beeping noise is coming from, because it's coming from the very large object that has been swimming in circles. And this is what is going to worry you, because you know what this large object is. Yeah, echolocation. This is a lesser white.
Shirk.
Which is essentially the smaller version of a greater white. A lesser white is, you could kind of compare it to a shark. It would actually be almost more like a very large eel. in its nature. But this is Poseidon. So you have to take everything as being immediately applying the Australia modifier to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So as far as you can tell, it looks like this lesser white has whatever this beeping thing is. Maybe it swallowed it. Maybe it's entangled around it. You can't really tell quite yet. You think it might be a case of having swallowed it. Because that's what lesser whites do.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I think I'd swim back to the boat, do my voice thing again. So bad news. It appears that the people you were here to meet met with someone else before. It was a lesser white, and probably not gonna work out. Guess we could go back now.
okay. Drew. Actually, all of you, Drew and Fish and Maggie. The two goons that are guarding you become visibly shaken.
So now's our chance.
They're scared. Dimitri immediately goes pale. Like clean hotel sheets pale. Okay. This guy he's scared. Because newcomers hear a lot of tales. Media loves to sensationalize things. So take the Australia effect and bump it up to being an outright horror film. And that's what most people know about things like lesser whites and greater whites and the rest of the monsters and sea beasties of Poseidon. So they're scared. Dimitri looks at you, Drew, and he goes, this is not good.
Shark got
Need
hold of your
that
tracker.
case.
So is this where we negotiate for money? If we're gonna go risk our lives to get whatever the hell you want?
I'm going to say that you guys have already been
Can
told
I
that you're going
say
to
something
get
to the
paid.
guards?
You guys know you're already going to get paid, but also keep in mind that there's a pair of thugs back home watching over Bethany and Aunt Etta's safety.
Can I say something to the guards?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell them to be careful not to drop any of their fear sweat in the water. That'll attract the lesser whites.
These two guards, they look at you and they are absolutely taking everything you said as if it was gospel.
It's true, you know.
And they look at Dimitri for a moment. Dimitri just kind of looks at them as if, I don't know any better. You might want to go with what she says. And this causes them to move away from the sides of the boat just a little bit. Dimitri looks and he goes, okay, you guys are the locals. How do we solve this problem?
If a shark's got a hold of the tracker, and I assume this tracker is supposed to be attached to whatever this is you're getting, then it's probably in the shark. So, I mean, you're welcome to, dive in and, try to go and have a nice chat with it, but I don't think there's going to be any getting at it.
You guys are locals. You're supposed to be able to know how to fish and kill things like this.
This is a tour ship. We take people to see things. This is not. We are not fishermen. Not on that. Not on that. We don't. Even fishermen stay away from those things. We
I was
we
gonna
need
say-
like a cannon or something to take. Do you have a harpoon on you? Because this isn't. No.
We're alive because we don't mess with them.
Actually, you.
Well, maybe I do, but
Let's tell you what. Let's have you do.
I'll lie to him. I'm cool with that.
All right. I'm going to let you know that your ship, you would have some limited gear for being able to fight off sharks.
Right.
As a tour craft, taking absolute ignorant know-nothings out onto the water, bad things are occasionally going to happen because of ignorant know-nothings. So you are going to have some gear. You're not necessarily going to be armed to the teeth.
We're tight on money, though, and I'd prefer not to use the resources on them if we can avoid it.
That is a fair. that is a fair assessment of the situation.
I know it's not a particularly good situation in general right now.
So I'm going to remind you that you will have some limited supplies on the boat. You have some limited supplies back home. But you also need to keep in mind the fact that you have people at home that are currently under armed guard. How you resolve this situation will affect how that situation is resolved.
Okay, come back
Michi's
on.
just looking at you and he's like,
Do they have guns?
I'm willing to help you, but I can't come back empty-handed.
Do they have guns guarding us?
Yeah, you're good. The guards that are keeping an eye on you, yes, they have guns.
So
They're not carrying like
What type of guns are they? Would they
like
at all be
handguns.
useful? Okay, so handguns. They wouldn't necessarily be useful shooting something underwater because
these guys are corporate mafia thugs. They're not like soldiers. They're handguns.
I'm assuming I have a sniper at home, right?
You have a what?
Sniper rifle, because I am a sniper. Or that was my
Yes.
military position.
That would yes, you would have a sniper
Okay.
rifle that would probably have been left at home.
Well, yes. It's not very useful with my hands tied behind my back.
No.
So, let's just lay down all the facts. We know there's a great white out there, or lesser white, and we're not equipped appropriately to take care of this problem right now. So why don't we just go back to shore? Your tracker is tracking whatever it's supposed to be tracking, right?
Right.
And let us arm the ship and prepare a bit so that we're not going into this blindly, because we will all die and you won't get your treasure.
it's a bit difficult to take down a lesser while your hands are tied up.
Well, there's that too, but
And what are you even looking for, you jerks?
you're not helping. You could just swim away. That's not helpful for those of us who have our hands tied behind our back.
So
Oh, hey, thanks for the sub.
we think this will work out. We'll go back. You'll get your gear. We come back. You kill fish.
All
We
of
get
you.
our stuff.
Are you going to make sure to not sweat into the water to make our job twice as hard?
When we go back to get your gear, we'll grab extra towels.
Sure. Great. Let's do that. I'm just going to start turning the boat around.
Okay. All right. So we'll let you. We'll go ahead. We'll cut forward a little bit further in time to go ahead and let you guys return back. Now that you know, you kind of have an idea of what it is that you're going to need, as far as, you guys know that you're going to need to grab a couple of extra harpoons and stuff. The other thing to keep in mind is again, this is a big fish. Okay, so you're gonna have to, if it has swallowed this, you're gonna want to grab gear in order to be able to cut it open, in order to be able to retrieve the package.
That means they're gonna have to let us bring weapons.
They're gonna let you bring axes, fish knife kind of stuff. So, all right. So, and actually, Jim, I was kind of thinking that myself.
Yeah.
So, which is part of the reason why I was going to go ahead and do leading into this. So,
Sure.
What I'm going to suggest is since this looks like this would be a good point to go ahead and pause for a few minutes, take a short break. What we will do is when we come back, you guys will have grabbed your gear, gotten your stuff, and are ready to head back out.
Can I make sure to grab some tranks for the shark?
Shark.
Some tranquilizers for the
Uh-huh.
shark. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say, let's just do a real quick roll on that one. I want you to go ahead and grab the tranks, and one of the guards is going to question you about it. What I am going to say is Maggie, if you want to jump in, since you are a game warden, I will allow for you to make a cool-headed attribute check
Okay.
to kind of give a bonus to fish for their deceptive attribute check. Now, the way that this works is an attribute checks start with a base number of 5 plus whatever your attribute is. In this case, cool-headed is going to give you a +1. So you would need a 6 or less on a single D10.
Mm-hmm.
If you succeed, that will give a +2 for fish making a deceptive attribute check.
So I go into this long speech about why having tranquilizers and going after predators and whatever. Long, boring.
Yeah, the thug kind of, you start going through the spiel, and the thug just kind of looks at you for a moment and goes, okay, enough from you.
But I'm not helpful.
And yeah, okay. Well, but still. So what we'll do is for fish, it is a deceptive, which you are 3 plus the base target number of 5. So you're going to be looking at an 8 or less.
Have you ever seen a group of lessers in a frenzy? Darks help. The tranquilizer darts help prevent that. If one lesser goes in frenzy, any other, they release chemicals in the water that cause all the other lessers in the immediate area to go frenzy as well. I'm trying to avoid that.
I really think she's using them on the
Sounds good to me. And he lets you go ahead and take the tranks. All right. So, Jim, if we want to go ahead and lead into the break at this point,
Sure.
and then as soon as we come back, we'll go ahead and we'll pick up on-scene
Okay.
hunting.
Well, we're going to go ahead and go on our first break then, folks. We'll be away for like 5-10 minutes, however long it takes for us to do our various panicking and whatever we need to backstage. The grabbing of things, the running around the house, the moving of cats from place to place, as we know, that is what powers the internet. And we shall return shortly. See you soon. Greetings, folks. This is more break content. And so Rock and I are here to talk a little bit about Blue Planet, while the other us's, while future us are on break, and so we can get to know a little bit that maybe we weren't able to get into depth on the stream itself. So I guess tell us some things about the setting here. What is Blue Planet like overall?
Okay. I like to describe Blue Planet as being very much kind of a little bit of a mix between, say, the old TV show Sequest, Firefly, with just a little touch of this, that, and the other mixed into it. So Blue Planet takes place on a world that humans discover in the future. Basically, what happens is as we are sending probes out into the further edges of the solar system, a wormhole is discovered, and so they send probes through. And on the other side, they find the Lambda Serpentis system. And they find that the third world from the sun is a sort of like a water world, an oceanic planet. So they decide to go ahead and send colonists to this world. So an initial group of colonists are sent to the world. If I remember correctly, it's called the Athena Project. So the Athena Project goes to this planet. They go ahead, they circle it. Because of the water nature to the planet, they go ahead and they dub it Poseidon. And they go ahead, they do a survey, they pick a site, they land. And the initial plan was that about 10 years later, roughly, they were supposed to receive a resupply. Now, your initial colonists were the majority of them were scientists. There were a few members of dolphins that had been sent. Around this time, what had happened prior to this time, one of the technological advances was uplifting, as they say, of dolphins. And it was basically just increasing the ability for dolphins to communicate and interact with humans on our level, in a form that we're able to communicate with them with. Part of that was the development of a language called interspec or interspecies, and it's a combination of both vocal and sign language that is used. So you have this colony mission, and again, like I said, mostly scientists. They're doing their thing. 10 years go by, and no resupply mission. And a lot of them lose a little bit of hope, and there is your typical setting, suicides and stuff like that. The rest of them decide, okay, looks like we're stuck here. We're gonna have to live. And they go about it in a very smart way. Part of what they do is they divvy up their technology, because they decide that the best way to go ahead and survive is to branch out and start forming other settlements. And one of the things that they do is they divvy up the technology amongst the different settlement groups, and they acknowledge the fact that the technology that they have is eventually going to break down. But fortunately, a lot of the stuff that they brought with them included historical records and information on how to do things like agriculture. So that kind of sets Poseidon in motion for the next couple of years. The reason why what they didn't know is the reason why they had not received a resupply mission was because on Earth, what had initially been intended as a genetic manipulation bacteria, if I remember correctly, it was intended to be like a bacteria. But what it was is genetic manipulation had been involved, and they were trying to go ahead and create something that would allow grain crops to be more resistant to diseases and, environmental factors. Well, instead it turned into a virus, and it actually started to wipe out grain crops, and it spread across the planet. It became this sort of global plight. And it mutated, and it began to affect other types of crops and stuff like that. And, as tends to happen, all hell breaks loose. So, and of course, the companies that were involved with this initially stayed quiet because they didn't want the bad press. So rather than fixing things, they screwed things up even more. The United Nations is called on, and initially United Nations is, trying to respond. Their resources get taxed. They create the Global Ecology Organization, otherwise known as the GEO. And if you think of current day UN peacekeeper forces, that's very similar to what the GEO essentially was, except on a larger scale. And so the GEO is called in to provide research teams, security forces for those research teams. And of course, in order to do so, this requires, the nations to kind of cede a little bit of power to the UN, to the GEO. So there's certain levels of authority and I can't think of the word right now. I know it begins with the letter S. But anyways, so your nations start to give a little bit more power to the GEO. GEO becomes a little bit more powerful. And in the meantime, you're seeing the collapse of economies. And as economies are collapsing, major corporations are stepping in. They're providing their own, security forces are becoming more militaristic, becoming, more autonomous, which, if you think about it, really isn't that far of a draw, because if you look at most localized city governments, most cities aren't actual law, legal authorities. They're actually, most cities are corporations. So most of your cops in around the world, even though generally speaking, police are recognized as authorities. If you look at, like for instance, in our nation, if you look at our Constitution, city police aren't part of the Constitution. Sheriffs are. So a lot of police departments are actually corporate security departments. And so this idea that mega corporations, their security departments start evolving into localized police departments makes a lot of sense.
I see.
And what ends up happening is as these mega corporations are stepping in and they're starting to provide security forces and they're starting to provide economic reinforcement, they start petitioning for more and more authority and recognition of being almost governments themselves. And this is where you end up with corporate city-states. So all of this has been going on Earth, and the whole thing goes for about an 80-year time period before the GEO manages to go ahead and figure out what's going on with this global blight, manages to find a way to stop the blight, after stopping the blight, managing to be able to establish some level of global stability on Earth. So this is where you are, and it's about this time frame that somebody remembers the Poseidon and the Athena project.
Awesome. I think actually we're going to now save the second part of this for the other break.
Okay.
So that we can get all that in, because there's a wealth of information here.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm presuming that I thank you very much for bringing this to us. What a more in-depth look at what probably we're getting. I'm guessing in the future we're getting the Reader's Digest version of that at the beginning of the game before we go on. So this is good, being able to unwrap it and tackle that. So we're going to dive more into that on our next break.
Okay.
And we will I will throw this back to our future selves. See you shortly. We have returned, and I think we've geared up and we're getting ready to head out. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So,
Is it possible for me to kind of keep an eye on the guys as they grab some extra gear? The goons kind of look to see where they're putting weapons, just for future knowledge.
Yeah. So actually, what I'm going to say on that one is at this point, with Dimitri's permission, you guys are in charge. So they will put the weapons wherever you tell them to.
What about weapons on themselves? Am I going to be able to track that as they're putting away stuff, like look for the outline of a gun that's concealed under a shirt, knife under strapped to the ankle, things like that?
I'm going to make that easy, actually. the way I'm thinking about things, you're going to see them just kind of like put their guns away. So you're going to see them like put their guns into their little, under the jacket side holster, because they're going to be helping you out to some degree. It's kind of like, it's one of those things where it's like initially you guys are moving stuff and they're just keeping an eye on you. And one of you kind of like makes a snide remark about, pitching in. And, the longer that it takes for you guys to load stuff, the longer it's going to be. And at which point Dimitri just kind of looks over at one of the guys and he snaps his fingers and he points at you guys. And these two goons just go ahead and they look and, like you start pointing at stuff and they start helping you. And it's going to be one of those kind of things where, as far as they're concerned, the sooner that they get back on land, the sooner they're away from the big scary things that television has told will eat them. So at this point you see them put their guns away, and they probably aren't going to remember to go reaching for their guns until well after you guys have left.
Just trying to keep track where all of their weapons are on their person so that I know where I might need to disable. Like, and I also want to pay attention to the left-handed, right-handed, things like that. Yeah, sure. We're going to go ahead and kind of go with generic genetics here. Most people are going to be right-handed. So they're gonna keep their holsters are gonna be on the left side, and we're just gonna play into the Hollywood stereotype there. Okay, sorry, just like I said, want to know in case I need that information later. Yeah. And we're gonna I think just in order to go ahead and especially because of interests of time and everything, we're gonna keep it simple. You're not going to have to worry about like ankle holsters and back knives. There's no Crocodile Dundees here. So, there's not some Russian guy like pulling out a 6-inch blade going, "No, this is knife."
Say hello to my 6-inch friend.
Yeah, nah, you're not going to worry about that.
Hey,
these are
PG-13.
These are
That wasn't what I meant.
Yeah, these are ignorant goons. These are guys. They're like, hey, they've been in a fight or two, but other than that, in fact, you're not even sure they're necessarily Russians. You know that Dimitri is. It's obvious. These guys.
So I do have a question as we are heading out and heading back. So I'm wondering if I might know of any sort of. In sort of the since I know it's general, the general pattern it was the lesser white has been taking the path. I'm wondering if there are any if it goes by anything that would be like a reef or a rocky area or somewhere where we might be able to get it, where we could end up maybe leading it into a confined area or. Just somewhere where we might be able to
we'll need to grab bait in that case.
Yeah, reduce its mobility. Bait would be good.
Let's see. Let's go with. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to do a roll. I'm going to say that this is probably going to fall under your local guide knowledge, which is going to make it for Drew is a 2d10.
Gotcha. All
right. And your skill with local guide is 3. I'm gonna go with observant on this one.
Okay.
Because I feel like since you're kind of looking, you've been watching this one and you've been paying attention to the area that you were in and everything is kind of what you were asking. So we're gonna say we're gonna start with your target, your skill number of 3. We're gonna add your observant attribute of 3, which is gonna give you a total of 6 for your target number.
All right.
And that's 2d10.
I shall make with the rollery.
And like I said, I want to make sure we grab bait, dead fish. and stuff like that,
Yeah, that'll be
and
very
net,
good.
and then
Great.
net as well, just in case,
Yeah.
you know.
And apparently we need like an oxygen tank and a thing to fire at it. Is that how that works?
Da-da.
So I got a 4.
Okay, so let's see. So we said that you needed a 6 or lower, and you got a 4. So yeah, absolutely. What you know is that you would be able to working with Dancer. Okay, um, Dancer would be able to help kind of herd this into an area that would make it easier to trap it and attack it. Um, in order to be able to go ahead and bring it down. So now that being said, Dancer, the thing that you're going to need to keep in mind is that a lesser white is not a timid creature. It is a hunter. So more than likely, what you're going to find is you will have to play bait in order to lure it into an area that is going to be more restrictive for its movement. That
Can I
being
have
said,
grenade?
because you're smaller, you're going to have an advantage as far as, moving around is concerned over it.
Yeah. I'm gonna put
Can I also
cranks
grab
on
some
it, too.
grenades? Sound waves help knock the creature into a, if he needs to know an explanation, if you drop them in the water, the sound waves actually help stun the creature for a few minutes before it actually tries to bite us. You have to understand, right before a shark bites, it actually closes, it has its mouth open, its eyes closed. That is the best time to use a grenade on a shark.
Solid science.
We'll let you take one
Oh,
grenade, not grenades.
Each? We each can have one?
No.
Okay. I've always been told I don't get what I don't ask for.
Very true. Very, very
I
true.
think it's because I don't need any gear. Like during this whole time, like I think Dancer's really interested in how these mooks are taking care of her friends, because that's like her big concern. Etta and Bethany.
Okay.
Back. Yeah. So like using my little drone to like keep tabs or that kind of thing.
I got you. Let's give you a. All right, so this is going to be remote operations. So this is going to be a 3d10 skill.
Okay.
Your target number, your skill number is 4. I'm not going to apply cognition to this. I don't think it would really play into it, or rather, let me say that because of the fact that this is your home and everything like that, there's a certain level of familiarity, and so I'm going to give you a +2 to your 4 to counteract the -1 that you would normally have. Normally this would be the kind of thing like in a regular long frame game, I wouldn't even really have you roll on this one. But since this is a one shot, and in order to give you guys opportunities to roll dice and become familiar with the mechanics, I'll let you roll on your remote operations. So we're going to say 5 or less.
Rad. Okay. 2.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So you've got your little drone, and it kind of like it hovers up and it's kind of peeking through a window, and and you're able to see that I mean, Aunt Etta is obviously not happy with the situation. In fact, with the way that she's fuming, you're pretty sure she's probably going to have words for all of you when you come back, because you didn't get rid of these guys. Bethany, actually, it looks like one of the goons. You can't tell if one of the goons is helping Bethany with her homework, or if Bethany is helping one of the goons with his English.
Are they, so they're not tied up or anything? Where are they located?
No, these guys are, they're basically upstairs around the dinner table. It was.
So they have access to things like knives if they need to.
No, they're not being allowed into the kitchen. They're stuck at the dinner table. So, I mean, they have access to like the blunt knife that you would normally use for like around your dinner table. It's not like they're gonna have access to like steak knives.
Using like my spy or my escape and invasion, would there be a way for me to sneak a nice large fishing knife to Bethany?
To the kid?
Not the kid. I'm sorry.
Aunt Etta.
Aunt Etta. Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say Bethany was an interesting choice there.
Sorry.
And you were asking if you could use which skill?
You gotta teach them young. Sorry, go ahead.
I have spy and I have escape and invasion. Intrusion. I've got some.
Let's go with. You know what? Intrusion is going to be more about sneaking into places without being detected. But I am going to say that you could use.
But I'm bringing them. I'm just making sure they're okay. I'm bringing them food so that they.
Yeah, but what I'm going to say is and this is probably a very weird call. Most game masters are probably gonna like rip me a new one for this, and I don't care. It's my game. I'm going to go with weapons specialist skill.
Okay.
Because I'm going to go with under the idea that, I mean, if you're a specialist at a weapon, you're going to be specialist at handling a weapon, which means that you should know how to be able to let go of a weapon so that somebody else catches it.
Okay.
And so I will say weapons specialist, which starts off at a skill of 3. And coordination, I'm going to give you graceful on this one, which is going to give you 4. So you need a total of 7 on either of 2 d10s.
So what's the macro to roll?
So the easiest way is probably just to go ahead and roll a d10 twice. So the formula for that, if you're entering the formula, is...
Oh, that's not the right formula.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I threw a macro in there, but I don't know how. I don't know if people can get at it or not.
You can copy what he did.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you just do a /r space 1d10, that should
D10.
Yeah, that should go ahead and roll a d10. And I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you right there. That's a 1. You needed like a 7. And so that's going to fall in the lines of that +5 action value. So it's like a critical success.
So you actually slip her a machine gun.
Let's say that it's not just, you don't slip her the fish knife. As you're in there, you actually manage to go ahead and get a larger kitchen knife in there, something with a much better blade.
Chef's knife.
Yeah.
Not a butcher's knife.
That's fine.
But
he's not unarmed.
One of those like little ginsu things that they always show the chefs, like dicing tomatoes with.
Cuts
with
right through a
the-
tin can.
Yeah, with the monomolecular ceramic vibroblade, whatever.
But she's not unarmed and she's not helpless. So
Yeah, no, you've just increased Aunt Edda's which,
Survivability.
in all honesty, considering how angry she is, you probably would have been better off giving it to Bethany. Less likely something happening. But
it's like goals, really.
So, but having said that, while you are in there and you're giving Aunt Etta the knife and you're kind of taking stock of things, you notice that these guys, they don't seem like they're particularly wanting to hurt anything. I mean, obviously these are goons. They're gonna do what they're told and what they have to. But with the way that the one guy is interacting with Bethany, it's you almost get like a big brother fatherly vibe, like this guy doesn't want to hurt children at all. Okay. He doesn't want to hurt anybody, so he's being real gentle, real nice. So you're not, you kind of get the impression that as long as everything goes good while you're out there on the water, everything's going to go great when you come back. Just make sure that everything goes good while you're out on the water.
Or I just take out Dimitri and then, they'll probably be fine. And then.
You know what?
Let's not go
let's
there
start a
and say
gang
we
war.
did.
Let's do that right now.
Let's go with. No, not that one. Let's Drew. Let me take a look at Drew real quick here. Because you've got Zion Islands local guide. Let's have Drew I want Drew to do a real quick test for me on Zion Islands, please.
Okay.
So your Zion Islands, your skill number is 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with observant, resourceful. I'm going to say resourceful on this one, just simply because of the fact that it is like knowledge that you would have had to have gleaned at some point in time along the way. Mm-hmm. So 2 plus the 3, that's going to give us a target number of 5 on 2d10.
All right, here we go. Got a 3.
You got a 3. That's going to be good enough. Okay, so Zion Islands, not a lot of Russians around. Very few Russians that are going to be around are going to be members of the Gorshkov family. When I say Gorshkov family, that should go ahead and imply everything that the word family usually does with the word mafia is also used in the same sentence. Okay.
Russian.
The very few Gorshkovs that are on the island, they're attempting to expand Gorshkov territory. They're trying to make contacts with locals and kind of start getting some inroads. And with that, that's also going to you're also going to know that the biggest thing that is preventing the Gorshkovs from making headway is the fact that the majority of the people in the area do have a tendency to prefer the New Gaia Collective. In fact, while she hasn't, as far as you know, while she has never actually done any jobs for the New Gaia Collective, Auntie Edda seems to have very, very good, favorable reputation with the New Gaia Collective. The kind of reputation that, should it be needed, could maybe draw in a favor at a cost, of course. But if necessary, a favor could possibly be called in.
This is good to know.
So, That also being said, you also know that the Gorshkovs, they're not ones to really kind of mess around with. They're business people. So as straightforward and honest as a mafia business person can be, and as trustworthy as a mafia person can be, you know that if a Gorshkov says he's going to pay you, he's going to pay you. If you do the job right, he's going to pay you well. If you do the job wrong, he's going to pay you back.
But still
Right now, my primary concern is keeping everybody safe. So I just want to get this over with,
Right.
So that we can actually get it done. But it's good to know that if push comes to shove and terrible things happen, that we can possibly there's an avenue we can use. But that, of course, will be a very bloody one, and that's something that I would like to think that I've left the military, and
Right. All right. So, in the interests of that, you guys have your equipment loaded. You know you've got enough stuff to be able to work with being able to get the lesser white. You know that your family is going to be safe for now. Is there anything else that you guys want to check before heading out?
So I'm just imagining Maggie in her element at the moment, because this feels like a geo warden sort of thing to do. Go out and take care of problem animals and make sure things aren't being poached.
Mm-hmm.
When she's not doing tours. So I'm imagining her barking orders to the goons. Like, take this here, mount that there. Like, be on the lookout for this. Like, trying to educate them so that they don't die.
And you are a Silva. So these guys, while they might be about your size, they know better than to try and tangle. So as soon as Dimitri snaps his fingers and you start issuing orders, it's just smooth. It is an operation. They are following orders, doing what needs to be done in order to get stuff on, loaded on the vehicle. Now I am going to ask a question.
Okay.
Specifically because you made reference to it earlier in the game.
Okay.
Are you trying to take your sniper rifle?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
But I think the way she's going to do it is put it in a crate with other supplies that need to be there to make it less, to try to conceal it. And
okay, so you're going to try and be subtle about it as opposed to just kind of matter of fact tossing it in there?
Correct. I don't want them to know that I have it at this point. It seems like the smart tactical thing to do. And then if shit hits the fan and I need to, shoot a lesser white with it, then I'll pull it out. But
let's
I don't know if I necessarily have the skills to pull this off, but I'm going to try it.
I'm going to say, let's go ahead and we're going to make this one, I'm going to make this one easy on you. Okay.
Okay.
Because
I mean, you don't have to. This is a really dumb idea.
No. I think mainly because of the fact that I want this to go through, but also, but at the same time, I want you guys to have an opportunity to be able to roll dice and interact with the system. So what we're going to do is your base target number, of course, being an attribute roll, is going to start with the number 5. And I'm going to let you use, I'm going to give you a choice. You can either use cool-headed, which is only going to increase 1, or you can be open about this and you can toss it in there, and I'll let you use intimidating, which is a 4.
You know what? Since they are taking orders from me, like they've been told to take orders from me, I actually like the idea of being like brazen about it and going with powerful
Okay.
or
I'll let you do-
intimidating, whatever one you said it was.
I said
Just-
intimidating. You can use powerful if you want. They
I mean,
should both be
they're
the
gonna
same
be the-
number.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it would be intimidating. Like, don't mess with me. Here's my sniper rifle.
Roll it. Let's see just how intimidating you are.
Pretty damn intimidating.
Yeah. So I mean that you needed a 9, you got a 3. That's a difference of 6, so that would be a critical success. So it's kind of going to be one of those things where it's like, I imagine it's like you're picking up your rifle and you're just tossing it in there, and the dude
carries
looks
it
at you and he's like,
I think she has like a rifle case that is very like clearly a rifle case.
okay,
Like one of the ones that like basically is the outline of a hunting rifle. Like you can tell this is a like at least a rifle.
okay.
Because I don't think she would just throw her gun in. I think she cares about it a little bit more than that. But like she's just gonna openly carry it on there and be like, we might need this. Okay, thanks. Like, don't fuck with me.
Yeah,
Bye.
and like there's a goon that looks at you and like for a moment he looks at the rifle case and he looks like he wants to go ahead and say something, but then he just kind of pauses for a second and he decides that maybe it's best not to say anything, and he just shrugs his shoulders and he grabs the next piece of equipment that needs to be loaded on the hydrofoil and goes to work.
I think she does that like don't mess with me look. Like, are you really thinking about doing what you're thinking about doing?
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. That's good.
I feel like I should use that opportunity to casually pack my heavy pistol.
To pack it.
All right, well, to bring it along. Yeah, so
Okay. Yeah, let's
Am I?
Tell you what.
Can I have light pistol concealed. That shouldn't be a problem, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let's let you have the concealed pistol, and I'm gonna let Drew go ahead and take his regular pistol. And I think at this point, if you guys want to go ahead and do a roll, I mean, again, I'm all about you guys getting opportunities to interact with the system. If you want to go ahead and roll this one, you can roll it at this point. If you want, I can just go ahead and give it to you, because
I feel like I've made a very like clear thing. Like, we're coming armed.
Yeah.
We're taking care of this for you.
Yeah.
I kind of I feel like that's kind of part of it, and then it's like, I mean, if you know you're letting her take the sniper rifle, but then also it's with me in particular, I'm stuffing it in a bag. I'm not actually putting it on me. Because this is more, it's like, this is clearly equipment for if we need to deal with a shark type thing.
Right.
Is kind of my character's intention.
I got you. All right. So one thing that I do want to ask, mainly because of partially because of the fact that the drone was the last thing that we really did with Dancer. I want to ask, with your so your cicada isn't necessarily going to be the most maneuverable of things in the water. It can go in the water, but the other thing is that there's a piece of equipment that is designed specifically for cetacean characters, and it's a it's a hydroshell, which is basically, if you want to think of like a jet ski for dolphins. It's yeah, I mean, it's an underwater jet ski for dolphins, basically. It's it would be like a vest that you could slip onto, and it has propulsion units on it. So it's like, instead of you having to swim, you ride along on this.
Well, Rock, you're asking me, do you want a jet ski for dolphins? I don't think it's possible to answer that as no. So, yeah, we're going to go with yes on this one. I do want a jet ski for dolphins.
The
Okay.
right mind doesn't want a jet ski for dolphins.
What could possibly go wrong?
I won't answer that.
Just imagining the thing from Subnautica now, where like she puts her fins in it, and then it's just that one propeller that makes them go faster.
Yeah, I mean that absolutely you could go with that.
I know that's just the image I got.
Yeah, no.
Although jet ski for dolphin also is a very provocative image.
Right.
Very happy with jet ski for dolphins.
So here's what I'd like for you to do, Ken. I've got, I have this in front of me naturally, so I can refer to it if I need to. But just for your reference, when it comes to maneuvers, this is going to give you a +2 for defend maneuvers, a +2 for performance maneuvers, which performance maneuvers is going to be more related to vehicle combat kind of things, which I may go ahead and let you use we may do that for when you're going against lesser white, or we may use just regular combat stuff. But an evade is a +4.
+4 to evade?
+4 chase for evade. Excuse me.
+4 for chase and evade?
Correct.
Okay. That sounds swell.
I figure if you're going to be bait, you're going to need every advantage.
I'm going to use that plus to perform. I'm going to put on a show while I
do
evade
spirals.
Yeah. Bring a ball.
Can we have a and like
Having your dinner actually be the entertainment brings new meaning to the phrase dinner and a show.
I mean, technically you are at SeaWorld, so,
There it is.
A tour
on
guide.
a show.
That's how it works.
Oh my god.
At least one per game, Jim. At least one pun per game.
Oh, is that? Are those your demands? Is that what we need?
Hey, at least you're not in my second edition game where they all used to meet at a bar called Akuda's.
Of course. Oh,
All right, so
All right, let's go.
we're going to go ahead. We're going to cut to being on scene. You guys have arrived where it was, and Dimitri's got his little tracker unit out, and he's seeing the little ping, and he's telling you, he's the first couple of minutes that he's there, he's just kind of like, he's like, it's going left, it's going right, it's going right. All right, here. And he goes ahead and he puts it down on the console in front of you so that you can see this, instead of relying on him to tell you what direction that you need to turn.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and cut to Dancer real quick. So, you've kind of been skipping along in your little PowerShell. You're the underwater Blue Angels, so to speak. For once in this adventure, you're kind of having the time of your life. And you can tell between echolocation and the fact that this PowerShell does kind of present information for you, you can see where this lesser white is. It's up ahead of you a little ways. So I'm going to ask, how do you want to approach this? Do you want to start chasing it and kind of raise its ire? Do you want to go zipping past it and kind of catch its attention, or what? How do you
bait you could drop in front of it and
yeah, or if you want to go up to if you want to meet the hydrofoil on the surface momentarily, and they can go ahead and You know, they can either go ahead and give you like a small canister of chum, or they can just pour it all over you. And
I think I want to try simple first. That's how I tend to go. I'm a dolphin, so we don't think too complicated here.
okay.
And yeah, I'm just going to try to swim in front of it and see if it'll chase me first before we get too involved.
Okay. So let's see here. We're gonna let you use that's gonna be performed there, I think, is what we're gonna run with.
Delightful.
And give me just a moment here. So
I also have graceful under physique, so I want to do a very graceful performance as I swim in front of this lesser white.
yeah.
I'm gonna look like beautiful food.
All right. So so let's see. So for performance, actually, let's. All right, so performance is actually related to the vehicle itself. It's not going to be related. It's going to be related to the vehicle as far as like how well it handles things. So what's considered a push maneuver is how they call it, would actually be your kind of like trying to, you know, zip and be flashy in front of it. I am going to give you the if you want to use I would say that with this is going to fall more as a coordination thing, and so I would give you acrobatic instead of graceful, because this is going to be the kind of thing where it's kind of like graceful would be more like, you know, like if you're just trying to be smooth and slow and, you know, like dancing. Whereas if you're trying to be, you know, kind of stunty and, you know, grabbing somebody's attention, I'm going to say that would be more an acrobatic thing.
Okay. So what's my role here?
So for this, I'm going to say that it is a straight acrobatics roll. So you're going to start off your base number 5. Acrobatics, we're going with 2, because this is I know you've got like multiple numbers there. Some of those are I'm assuming some of those are supposed to be for water based versus, you know, your coordination land type thing with their droid. So I'm going to say acrobatics 2. So that's going to give you a 7 for your target number, and you're gonna roll a single D10.
Okay, let's go. That's a 1.
Sweet. That's the best I can say on that. Sweet. All right. So you needed a 7. You rolled a 1. That's a critical success. This thing is not just simply aware of you, it's hungry.
And I'm thirsty. Let's go. Come on.
All right. So this is going to go ahead and chase you. I'm going to say that this, because of the fact that you were kind of like trying to zoom in front of it a bit, we're gonna put you at a 2. Is what this is for distance. When you're handling chase rolls, you're basically looking at like 5 is kind of like your starting number in most cases by default, and it's if something becomes greater than 5, then it gets away. In this case, though, I'm assuming you're probably not trying to get away so much.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to rely on my under physique. I have fast at 7. So I'm trying to like keep in sight and like do moves and stuff to. I want it to follow me to
Right.
the intended target. Yeah. So
Okay. So
and I've got a jet ski.
all right. So the way that we're gonna run on this is, give me a second here. Pull this up. All right. So your I just want to double check something before I start throwing numbers. That's what I was looking for. Okay. Okay. Here we go. And for dancer, I'm going to give you fast, which is 7. Your physique, or excuse me, fast is 7, normally 5. It's going to be 12, which is good. You're going to need it. All right. So let's have you do a D10. I need you to go ahead and roll 1d10, and we'll see what we have for your result.
Okie dokie pokey. Let's see. 4
All right, so you
on my
need
visible sun D10.
Okay, so you had a 4 out of a 12, so your action value is like an 8. This has a 10, and it rolled a 5. So its action value is a 5. So we're going to say the difference between those two is 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, all right. So you managed to go ahead and, you're kind of, weaving back and forth, zipping around in front of it, and it's following you. It hasn't quite caught up with you, but at the same token, you're still close enough for it to be aware of you and focused on you, so it hasn't lost you.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm
All
doing
right.
little tricks. I'm doing like loops and stuff. It's rad. Y'all should totally see it. It's awesome.
All right. So, and the other part of that is I'm also going to say, based off of the results, that you are leading it. You're successfully leading it into the area that you guys want it to be in order to catch it. So, all right, so let's go ahead and cut up to Drew and Maggie and Fish and Dimitri and everybody else. And so we're going to take a look there. So you guys,
Can I, before we go any further, roll predator behavior, which is my specialty under my survival training? Because I feel like that's applicable right now.
Why are you looking to roll?
Because I want to know, like, we've just sent our friend out there to go and be bait for this thing. What is it going to do once we get it cornered? Is it going to, I mean, I know you said it's not a timid creature, and I think I probably know that on a basic level, that this creature is probably not going to be particularly happy. But my idea is to have a basic understanding of what to expect. And I know that, like, every creature is different.
Right. So
is it going to attack the boat? Will it try to escape? What is it? Because our plan is to corner it somewhere, yes?
Yeah, so you're looking to have an idea of, once you get it cornered, what is it going to do?
Correct.
Okay.
Did I just send my friend to her death? Like, things like that.
Yeah, so as far as that is going to be concerned, go ahead and roll let's see here. So Maggie, you're looking at predator behavior is going to give you 3d10 because it's a specialty.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So your base your base skill on that is 3, and I'm going to say let's run savvy with this.
Okay.
Because everybody I know that actually is savvy in anything never uses that word. But we're going to use it right now. So you're going to have 3 plus the 1. So that's going to give you a target number of 4. I do feel that...
Don't I start with a base of 5, or am I? Oh no,
No,
just kidding. It's different for this.
The base of 5 is for attribute tests, not skill tests.
That's where I got confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're going to be at 3. You're going to give you the savvy, which is 1. But I do feel that this is going to be the kind of thing where it's in your wheelhouse as far as things that you might be aware of. So in this case, I want to go ahead and give you a +2. So
So 5.
No,
6.
actually 6.
Well, that's okay. I rolled a 2.
Okay. So lesser whites they're an aggressive breed. I mean, they're small, but they're hunters. They're predators. So if you corner one, what's going to happen is its initial instinct is going to be, if it can escape, it will do that instead.
Okay.
But if it is cornered and it is not able to escape, then it is going to fight until it can escape.
Okay. So I'm going to tell this all to Drew and tell him that we need to block off the escape route and be prepared for a fight. And I'm probably also telling Dancer this in as few words as possible, as to not distract her, not have her get eaten by the thing we're trying to hunt.
Like if at all possible, I'm kind of hoping to find like an area where it's like there are openings big enough for Dancer, but not big enough for the shark.
As far as like reefs are concerned?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, wait, how are we trapping it in there if there isn't? Oh, you mean an escape route?
Yeah, like it can get in, and it could turn around possibly and get back out. We would need to block off the escape route.
Like a firewall.
Yeah. But something where it's like maybe there are holes, but it's like an escape route for Dancer, basically, so that she can get out and not be eaten, hopefully.
Okay. So,
not being eaten is probably a good idea.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and make that a local guide, which is 2d10. Local guide is starts with a skill number of 3, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna apply observant to this one. Actually, yeah, we're gonna apply observant. So that's gonna give you a 6.
Right.
So your target number is 6. Roll 2d10.
Will do. Got a 2.
Okay. All right. So you kind of, based off of having been in the area before and recognizing, certain landmarks and stuff, that from prior expeditions, prior trips out to this area, that there are certain areas where the reef kind of has like a firewall effect, where you're even aware of a spot where it's almost, you might even be able to trap it. Like it may, if it hits that area, like if it's swimming blindly and fast, it just might get stuck.
Yeah.
And that is something that you can go ahead and you can tell the Dancer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that
basically.
in Little Mermaid, like flounder flew through the coral?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'd completely forgotten that image, but now I've got it stuck in my head.
So I shall convey this
beautiful.
information. Basically, just let Dancer
And once
know
we're set up
we're
there, I would like to position myself with the trank gun ready to shoot the shark if needed, and the grenade in my pocket toss if things go bad.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
The sound
Absolutely.
waves will not. I mean, it's truthfully the waves from the explosion will affect the shark's immediate reactions, and then perhaps give me a chance for a second shot if needed.
Okay.
And
so
mine.
so I'm gonna allow that.
Well, it's not gonna kill you.
Right. So what I am gonna say
I'm ruthless.
is this time around on this trip, there's an extra goon. So there's a third goon. And as you are picking up as you're picking up the gun and grabbing the sonic grenade and you're getting everything ready, Dimitri looks at you and he goes, "What do you need him to do? You want him to have another gun too? And where at water does he need to point at it?"
He can have. I'll trust him with the trank gun.
Okay.
I don't know how good of a shot he is. I don't want him with bullets. He might hurt my friend.
Understandable. He's all right. He goes to the range. Sometimes we wish he was down there.
You have to adjust for when you're. Has he ever shot something underwater? You do understand that light waves cause aim to be different. You have to aim at a different angle when you're aiming at something underwater. Does he understand that? Or is he going to be fucking useless with the gun?
Fish.
He's the guy that we usually send spearfishing.
Okay.
I know our friends down there, but I think we have bigger fish to fry.
Okay. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut to Dancer real quick, and Dancer. All right. So I'm gonna ask for another acrobatics roll. So again, 5 plus 2. That's 7 on a single D10.
Okay.
And we're gonna bump this up to 8. I'm gonna apply a +1 bonus on this one. No, I'll make it a +2. We'll make it a 9.
Okay. Do I even need to roll at that point? Is this just a assume action rating or?
In a normal game, like on a long form campaign game, I wouldn't make you roll in this case. But again, this is a short term. I'm giving you an opportunity to interact with mechanics.
Okay.
So if you want to roll, you
Or a 3.
okay. See, now you have a critical success instead of just a regular success.
Rad. So
All
I do
right.
like a loop-de-loo and I go through the reef.
So there's this just wall of coral in front of you, and you just thread the needle right through it, right? And this thing behind you is a freight train of teeth, full barrel, coming after you like Superman. And it doesn't even pay attention or anything to anything other than you. And it slams into this reef.
As soon as it slams, I want to hit the trank gun.
And all right, we'll get you in just a second.
Okay.
And it gets lodged, like it's like a third of the way through, and it's just snapping and just gnashing at you, like it's not even paying attention to the fact that it's stuck.
Be careful, that's an important habitat, you jerk.
You have an opportunity to just kind of flounce around in front of it. showing off.
All
All right.
Start singing
Now-
show tunes.
So, back to fish. Give me a second here. You know what? That has been distracting me half the night. All right, so fish, you want to go ahead and fire at this thing, and I'm going to go ahead and say that you do actually need to make a weapons specialist roll on
Okay.
this.
So that's a 2d10.
Yeah, you're going to be using 2d10. Your weapons specialist skill is initially a 3. Your coordination, I'm going to say it is coordination, is 3 as well. So that's going to give you a 6. And the only reason why I'm actually having you roll in this point, I mean, this is a stuck creature. So if it were calm, I wouldn't make you roll. But because of the fact that this is angry and it's thrashing about, I'm going to say that there is an opportunity for you or this other Russian bug to miss. And that's why I'm going to ask you to do the roll.
That's a very good roll.
So your target number is 6. You're on 2d10, and we have
2
a
1s.
1 on both of them. Nicely done. All right, so only one of them really actually matters, though. It's a 1. 6 minus 1 is plus 5, so you are looking at a critical success. So yeah, absolutely. You nail this thing. I'm going to ask a question real quick here. Jim tells me that at least at some point in time, and it certainly sounds like you've been keeping up with it, but at some point in time you were into marine biology
I
and
have
animals and
a
stuff.
Bachelor of Science in Marine Science.
Oh, okay. So
It's more than a hobby at that point.
So most of my aquatic animal life form knowledge comes from visiting aquariums.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you, on a large kind of eel-like shark type creature, where would have been the most effective place for a tranquilizer to land in the back half of it?
Back half, probably just behind the fin. In there is probably going to be your best, I think, location. That should hopefully hit the circulation system.
So the fin pit.
Yeah, the fin pit. That's a good name.
Fin pit.
Okay.
I like that. Okay.
Feel free to
Well,
use
thank
it.
you. You've just handled all the narration I needed to do for about the next 2 minutes. I'm a game master. I'm a god. That doesn't mean I know everything. Or actually it does, but anyways, no. So yeah. So you hit it spot dead on the sweet spot for it to be for the tranquilizer to have the maximum effect. The goon is a little less coordinated, but he does hit, so I mean, again, he's not totally useless, right?
Good to know you're not useless.
Hey, well, he fires, he hits, he's like, okay, good. And that, it's not like he gets all happy or excited or anything. Hey, I hit something. No, so tranquilizer starts to take effect. And you guys are going to have a few minutes here while this is taking effect to be able to get down. This is a point where you're going to have to decide how you're going to approach this, because you need to cut this thing open in order to get.
I was going to suggest that Maggie be the one to handle that aspect. I'd like to be there watching in case the tranquilizer wears off, but also watching the goons and Dimitri in case I need to fire the trank gun again.
So, can I ask you a question? One of my ties is to the warden's service. Must act within regulations or be subjected to a review hearing. How poachery illegal is what we're doing right now?
That is a question you probably don't want to ask.
Well, I feel like this would be something that abundantly obvious that my character would know.
Yeah,
like,
no. That's
like,
what I'm
do I
saying.
need to turn in my badge on Monday morning when we're,
No, you don't need to turn in your badge on Monday morning, provided nobody else knows about this.
Well, I trust my basically family not to say a word about it.
Right. I'm not going to ask you to roll on this one because it's kind of an obvious deal. You know, you can trust your family not to say anything about this.
Well, I have plans for.
Pretty sure that the Russian mafia doesn't want to go discussing with the authorities what they've been out doing.
Well, they may not be an issue, at least not these ones.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm doing anything. I'm just leaving all avenues open.
Yeah,
okay.
This is from if we want to go ahead and kind of get a little meta on this one, from a personality and a character aspect. It would be expected that this would be the kind of thing that you normally would not allow to fly, not without there being extreme circumstances, like family or other lives on the line.
Right. So I'm just going to be subjected to the review hearing, and I'll just lay it all on the line. So I'm assuming we have like dive suits and dive fins.
Yeah. I mean, you guys grabbed the gear that you knew you were going to need, so you knew that you were going to need, like swim gear, and you knew that you were also going to need, like, basically you were going to need an axe because you're going to be hacking through a large animal. So the other part about this is when it comes to a lesser white, part of the other reason why you would have been grabbing that kind of those kind of materials is the skin of a lesser white has a tendency to kind of almost act like a blade of armor.
You have to make sure to go with the grain, and actually what you would probably wear is chainmail gloves to handle. If there's a lot of divers that do handle sharks, what they do is they wear these chainmail gloves so that their hands don't get scratched up if they go against the grain on the skin.
So probably don that. I probably put on a wetsuit. Do I know that if I can shoot it like in the head with a sniper shot, if I could take it out? Or is that something way beyond my knowledge? Because my fear, maybe it's a player fear, but I think she would think about this, is if this thing wakes up and Fish can't put it back to sleep, and I don't trust the Russian mafia, because this whole situation has been sketchy.
Yeah.
Do you want me to shoot it?
So what I'm going to say is based off of your warden knowledge, you would know where to shoot it. Animals on Poseidon have a tendency, if you ever go back through and you take a look at the artwork for a lot of the animals, because there's a bunch of it, they have a tendency to develop armored
plating.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
it's.
Well, forget that. I'm just gonna go risk it for the biscuit.
What you would end up needing to do in order to actually shoot it, if you had to, and kill it, you'd basically have to shoot it in the eye. Is how it would go. Now the thing is the funny part on that is these creatures have a tendency to have eye spots, so they have like trails of eyes that go along their body to some degree.
I'm jumping in with an axe and shark mail.
Yeah. So with your shark mail, God, I love that. So with your shark mail, you're gonna ahead and jump on it. Fish is going to be keeping an eye, you said, on in case it wakes up and it needs to be tranquilized again. All right. So now the other question on that is going to be is, do you direct the other Russian guy to also keep his trank gun focused on it as well?
No, I would like him to pull on a pair of shark milk gloves. He looks pretty strong. He needs to be on the other side of the shark, holding it down.
You really want to get this guy killed, don't you? Okay.
Fish,
That looks at everything I need to know. I trust you, your family.
the background for Fish is that she has a questionable skill set. She also has questionable morals.
She has a particular set of skills.
Yes.
Like Dancer just
I
kind of
would
laughs
not-
at the idea that y'all are like trying to, spend all this time like to figure out whether we're gonna kill the fish or not, because like we're gonna cut open its stomach. Yeah, so she's like,
I knew the shark was going to die.
Dan-
I'm just
Dan-
waiting to see if any of the goons go
Collateral
along with it.
damage.
yeah,
Right.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, it makes sense that would be a two-person job. So
yeah.
Yeah,
I
She's
was
down there
trying
too,
to-
like swimming around it, laughing. Yeah.
Killing this shark eel thing is in direct opposition to what I do as my character does as a profession. That's what I was trying to figure out, what like mental gymnastics she had to go through to like
Right.
steel
Now,
herself to-
there is one other aspect of this that is going to be kind of important. So I need to know what you guys intend to do about this. And that is, right now, this shark is still in the water. And if you start hacking into it, it's going to start bleeding into the water.
Yep.
I don't know if
And
we
then we'll
have-
get other lesser whites or other predators.
That's why, maybe Dancer should go looking for other whites and get out of the immediate area. And, Maggie should be prepared to jump out. And then, we'll make sure we'll just have all the other guys in the water to help hold the shark.
Okay.
Good luck convincing them to do that. Have fun. I'm not helping.
So are
Yeah, I will tell them that actually when we start cutting into the shark, the blood will actually scare away the other lessers. The shark blood actually, they realize they're bigger predators and they will actually swim away. So you'll be safer in the water with the shark blood than you would be if we didn't cut into it in the water.
Please make this roll. Please
Oh
get
my
a 1.
God.
Please get a 1. Rock's like, I don't know what just
Jim?
happened.
No. This is Jim. I
Hi.
want you all right. I love this kind of role play. Jim, I want you to make a convincing roll, okay?
Okay.
And so that's going to be a 3. And I'm going to give you you have an option here. I'm going to let you do calm, which is a +1. So that's going to give you a 4
Okay.
on 3d10. Do keep in mind that you have one mental strain that you've not used at all during the game, so you could use that to increase your target number to 5.
So before I do this,
Yes.
Drew's primary concern here is because Maggie is going into the water with this thing and with possibly these people. And
Well, the other option we
he
can
wants
do,
to make sure that she gets out okay.
the other option is we could keep her on the surface, have them flip the shark so the belly's belly up, and they need to hold on to the shark and cut it open. She is the one who has the anatomy structure to understand where in the stomach the shark needs to be cut open.
Yeah.
And they'll
Well-
be fine if they're covered in shark blood. Then they're actually they'll be better off, more protected from the other sharks.
So the thing to keep in mind as far as that goes is this thing is firmly lodged in a coral structure.
Yeah, you're not
So
gonna be able to flip
flipping
it
it
over.
over is going to take time.
We don't have the time.
They didn't have time to flip it over.
Okay.
So what I'm going with on this one is this is the reason why I asked Jim to do the convincing roll.
Because I do have
Your
I'm
first statement where you just kind of went off on this whole stream of why it would be better for them to be covered in blood. I loved that statement. And I almost kind of want to give it to you just for that alone.
Yeah.
But again, I want to give an opportunity to interact with the mechanics and be able to roll dice.
So I think I see this as kind of Drew is just sort of nodding his head and saying, "Oh yeah, no, everybody knows that," and trying to kind of just basically say, "No, you gotta, you have trouble with that. That's going to be a problem." Jesus, we're gonna get our family killed. Okay.
Nah, come on, man. 3d10.
Yeah. I'm gonna. Well, I'm not worried about this here. I'm worried about them back there.
Yeah, back there. I mean, if we just do the job.
But
Get out.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'd rather the way I'm taking this is I'm going to go ahead and do it, but I think it's because I'd rather they take the risk than Maggie does, and so I think this is sort of seeing it as protecting her. So I'm going to go ahead and spend the stress.
Okay.
To take it up to 5, to get a little bit more of a chance.
Okay.
And I shall now roll 3d10, and we shall see what happens. Oh, look.
Okay. All right. So you needed a 5, you got a 1. So yeah. You just kind of, you're like, yeah. And so, Dimitri's just kind of like, against his better judgment, he goes ahead and he looks at the other two guys and what are you standing around for? Get in the water, help them out. And these two thugs kind of take a moment. They look at each other like in the first time in their life they're actually considering defying family rules. And then they look back at Dimitri and they're like, yeah, nope. And they figure that they're probably safer in the water covered in blood from the Gorshkovs than they are from the other fish.
I was gonna say Dimitri would probably just throw them in the water anyway, so they might as well go willing.
Yeah, so
They're gonna be
these
swimming
guys-
with the fishes. Ayo.
So these guys jump in the water and they're whatever they need to do in order to help Maggie. As far as they're concerned right now at this point, Maggie has as much authority as Dimitri does. So if Maggie says, here, grab these 2 axes and start hacking at this point, and she has them cutting off like the fins, they do it. I mean, granted, Maggie wouldn't do that because that's torture, but
No.
Right.
She's going to try to make this as painless as possible. And I think her plan is to do it herself in a quick but reverent manner. Because she feels horribly guilty about killing this thing.
it's
To the
understandable.
point where she might turn herself in the morning anyway, come tomorrow morning. But is this going to be...
This
What
is just
kind?
going to be a straight powerful, is what I'm going to go with, because
Okay.
I mean at this point right now, this is a creature that you're aware of. You know where its weak spots are. You know where you need to be able to hack in order to cut it open. You've had to do it once or twice before because of divers that have gone missing and been found. And
So it's a 4 or it's a 7?
it's actually a 9 because it's powerful, which is 4, but this is an attribute test, so your
You're
base number is 5. So 5 plus your 4 for being powerful. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that that's what you need. But what I am going to say is that it is going to take you a couple of minutes in order to be able to get through this, because this is, again, this is you're not like cutting through a shark that is the size of you. You're cutting through a shark that is the size of a SUV at minimum.
I think
Okay.
she probably like starts doing it and realizes it's going to take her more time than she anticipated, and then points out like specific places where she wants the goons to start cutting into it in an effort to speed this up, because she doesn't want to be in the water. Like, she doesn't care about the goons. If they're in the water when it wakes up, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah. So,
but if she's in the water, like,
and with that roll that you just made, where you needed a 9, you got a 2, so that's 7. It's a critical success. I'll give it to you. Absolutely. This is where the whole action number kind of thing comes into play to a degree. So I'm going to say that whereas this probably would have taken like a good 30-40 minutes, because you're cutting through a huge animal whose skin is like a blade of armor and just is annoying to cut through. When you get a couple of chops in and you're like, wait, this is stupid, and you go ahead and hey, you two, here, and they start hacking into it. All right.
I think like I imagine it where, like, if you look at the orca whale picture, there's places where plates like meet up. She probably has them going along a seam, or like I've watched alligator dissection.
So this is the thing on this is, and I know I've been describing its skin as like a blade of armor, and by that I don't mean that it's covered in scales. It's not like you're cutting open a dragon. It's what happens is as you're hacking into it, portions of its skin just starts to kind of slip away. So that's what's going on. It's like you strike the skin, and
it's like an onion. It has layers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, very much. You are cutting your way into the center of an onion.
To use my favorite Shrek quote.
And so it takes you time. Now, it doesn't take you the 40 minutes that it would have taken you. With these guys helping you out, it takes you closer to maybe about 20. But the thing is
I'd be exhausted.
So you're
chopping in. Can I softly ask Dancer to let me know if she sees any other sharks coming our way? Keep eye, don't get too close because we don't want her to get hurt. But
yeah,
that was my intention. Yeah,
you
guys be on patrol looking for other bad guys.
You guys, like I described to you, you guys have this internal, this implanted communication system. So you guys, again, I mean, you guys could be like exchanging memes this entire time.
Emojis.
Yeah.
I think I was on patrol. Like, I thought to do that in the beginning, but I think like halfway through, you kind of give me that reminder, and that was really good because I'm distracted easily according to my sheet, and I was like playing with some other fish or something. Like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be doing something.
Yeah, there's like a small group of fish that you started harassing, and
Yeah, you need to remind me periodically.
So
and I have a jet ski.
You're hacking through this thing and you're cutting it open, and you get inside and realize this is, oh man, this is the most god awful smelling thing ever. I mean, this isn't just a case of the fact that you're cutting into a fish. You're cutting into a fish that is already filled with rotting meat from things that it has already digested or partially digested. And then you've got its own internal body smells and stuff. So it's slippery and just ugh.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
I have enhanced smell.
But you're underwater, aren't you?
Is that going to cause a problem?
Underwater.
So the breathing gear that you have, when you get inside, you take your gear off initially, like you start to go, because there's kind of this area that hasn't like started to fill with water or anything just yet.
Right.
And so your initial reaction is to pull your mask off. and you get just far enough to break the seal, and that smell hits you.
Of course.
And you're like, oh, right. And you shove that mask right back to your face.
Okay. Cool. That's not coming off until well after I've washed my hands and thrown out my wetsuit and
So you get into the stomach of this thing, and you hear this beeping noise. And as you approach the beeping noise, you see a crate. This is obviously a crate that was packaged for travel across water, because it's a bright yellow color, and you can tell that it's intended to float to the surface if a ship were destroyed. And it has a tracking beacon on it, but it's also got something else on it. It has a logo.
Interesting.
It has a logo for Gendiver, which is one of the major corporations, one of those corporate factions we've mentioned earlier in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And Gendiver is one of those ones that is known to jealously guard its property.
So either the mafia is working with them. This is my her internal thoughts about this. Either the mafia is working with them. This wasn't actually the ship we were looking for. They were looking for. Or maybe the shipwreck was due to the mafia. There's a lot more questions than answers, and finally getting to this crate is basically what.
I'll give you a couple of those. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and give you a couple of those, just because I feel that it's information that you would know. The mafia does not work with the incorporates, usually. Okay. It is very rare. What is more likely is that the mafia is stealing from the corporates. Which is also going to tell you that if the mafia is looking for this, Gendiver is probably looking for this as well.
Yeah, now I gotta weigh who's gonna give us the most money.
In our inner channel, I'm like, am I taking Dimitri out? I can hit him with a trank gun. I won't kill him.
Our family's home. Let's just get the thing and bring it back.
Well, right now, none of this has been external monologue. This has literally been in her head. She's weighing her options.
Yeah, but I'm not going to hold on to the gun much longer. So if you want me to take him out, now's the time.
I have my sniper rifle. We have other weapons. I think you see rifle emoji and gun emoji. That's what you get.
Or are you doing a voting poll?
No.
Dancer firmly votes no.
Mark, if you want me to kill him. Smile.
Right now, she just grabs the how deep are we? Do I have to be worried about decompression sickness?
No. This is you've managed to you've managed to kind of catch this in a.
Because I want to be lazy and I don't want her to swim up. I just want her to take the float up if it's enough of a float that it takes the crate up and her.
Yeah, no, well, so I'm gonna say you're probably going to be looking at least about maybe about a 50-foot swim at least. I mean, you're
okay,
you're
but that's not
close to the surface.
I'm not hundreds of feet below the surface where. Okay, then if it's strong enough to take me and the crate up, I'm gonna just rise up with it.
Okay, yeah. So you could easily grab the crate and float it to the surface.
That's what I would like to do.
Okay. Now, you do still have the two goons with you, so it's going to be the three of you grabbing the crate and floating it to the surface.
Okay. Guess they're somewhat smart goons.
Real quick here, though, what we're going to do is Dancer. I want you. I'd like for you to go ahead and make a cognition check for me, please. So this is your cognition is a -1. And I am going to play on the fact that you are easily distracted.
Okay.
So I'm not going to allow the observant to balance it out to a 0. So in this case, you're going to be looking at a 4 or less on a
Okay.
single D10.
Let's go. No, a 10. That's not good. I have stress or strain, don't I?
You should have at least 1 point of strain, I believe it is, left.
I've used one, and
And
this
you
thing.
have, yeah. So
Okay,
you
that's
have,
4 squares, but 2. Okay.
yeah. So at this point, here's what you can do is you can spend that last point of strain.
Mm-hmm.
It will allow you to re-roll.
Okay.
But I will tell you in advance, if you do re-roll and you still fail, your psych will go from a 2 down to a 1. Now, so far in this game, you really haven't had to worry about rolling on your psych. So, keep in mind that that's one that you really haven't had to use.
No, that's
so
cool.
far.
Let's just fail.
Huh?
No strain. Let's fail. I rolled a 10.
Okay. All right. So you did use the strain or not?
No.
No. Okay. So you're keeping that point of strain.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So you fail being observant. Real nice dolphin kind of came by and started, getting inquisitive and goofing around with you.
Hello, friend.
Huh?
I said, hello, friend. Let's play.
Yeah, exactly.
We want to play.
The next thing you know, you're like racing codfish or whatever. I don't know. So what happens is you don't notice the 2 other lesser whites that have started to circle the area.
Mhm.
Maggie, I need to know.
Yes.
With these 2 guys, these 2 goons that are swimming up and like they took the case.
So
Are you letting them go up ahead of you, or are you going up ahead of them?
while we're going up, I still have an X, right? Can I X them a question and try to take one of the goons out with an X?
You guys were getting on me about killing people.
I
Come on.
never said that wasn't my plan.
Let me take a look at something real quick here.
I mean, that's a fair assessment of my question. Also makes me nervous, but
Can you at least let me know that we're taking them out? Because I will happily
I
help.
will let you know.
Okay.
Because I would rather be on Jen Diver's good side than the Mafia's good side.
I am. I'll tell you what. So, coordination. That's going to be a 6 or less on a single D10.
Okay.
And that's what I'm going to go with for this instance.
Can I argue
Even better.
precise? Like she's aiming for like the jugular in their neck, like where you'd have to be precise.
Well, and what I'm going to argue, what I'm going to say is in this case, it's because of the fact that you are swimming, and because there's the 2 of them. So this is the kind of thing where it's more a case of you need to be able to do it and get it done rather than do it and be, with precision.
Sorry, I keep hearing sirens around, and I see flashing lights, so I'm pretty sure there are police. I was in the middle of typing when you said my character's name.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that because of the environmental conditions, the fact that you're swimming and everything,
That's fair.
In this case, I'm going to go with it's coordination instead of precise.
So I'm going to quick message everybody else Well, specifically fish.
Okay.
And just 2 letters, a G and a no. And then attempt to take out the goons on the way up.
Okay. So let's see what happens.
Okay, I got to reroll. Because this is going to be a real bad situation otherwise. So I was thinking about using strain before rolling, but
Okay. So just as a reminder, you can use, I mean, you've got several points of strain. You can use the physical.
is this a physical strain?
This,
I'm
yeah,
assuming? Okay.
this would be physical. So, but do keep in mind that if you fail on the reroll, your physique is going to go from 3 to 2. I mean, you know, you've
Well,
been
is it
doing fine all night long, so I wouldn't be horribly concerned.
Nope, I'm going to go for it anyway.
Okay. Bam. Okay.
Suck it, goons. Let me ask you a question. Sorry.
So these two guys are floating up, and they've got the case between them, and you're coming up behind them, and this guy has a bad accident.
Ooh, I like it.
And he starts bleeding out in the water.
Yay.
Put blood in the water.
And the guy beside him doesn't quite notice until he realizes that he's the only one swimming upwards with the case, and that the case has become a little bit heavier.
Oh, because it's just dead weight. Okay.
Yeah, literally.
I was like, how does that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay, when that happens, when I see the thing, I do want to shoot Dimitri, just so you know.
okay. So, what we want to do is let's go ahead and do the second break,
All right.
Cliffhanger. I like it.
and then we can go ahead and we can negotiate Dimitri's demise.
Excellent. All right, folks. So we're gonna take a quick break, and things are getting exciting. We will be back shortly and see how this resolves. See you shortly. Greetings. Welcome back. If you're seeing us here, that must mean we're on break again, and so we're going to pick up now with the next part of the history of this setting, the details of this setting, Blue Planet. That maybe we haven't been able to get into fully as you've been watching us play. And I believe where we left off, you were saying that things have been, basically there'd been a blight of sorts on Earth, and then they were starting to remember the Poseidon Project, yeah?
That's correct, yeah. So as when we left off, it was the GEO had managed to solve the problem with the blight and had established stability on Earth. And as part of the stability, reestablishing the stability, somebody referenced the Poseidon and the Athena project, and it was, hey, let's go ahead and try sending people and reestablish contact. Now, everybody was expecting that the original colonists had probably died out by now, since there had been no resupply. So when this new wave shows up, they're quite surprised to find that the original colonists had flourished. They had established multiple settlements in different islands. The population had increased, quite a bit. And so there was a lot of surprise. So they show up, they go ahead, they start to do kind of a Recontact mission, which is where the third edition actually gets its name, is based off of that event. And so what ends up happening is initially you have this new wave of colonists, and there's a bit of an exchange of information and catching up to do. and then after that, they start to go into the process of bringing more people in. Your incorporates, city states, the various corporations, they start sending people to assist with this process. Now, somewhere along the way, an ore that is specific to the planet is found, and it's this goes under the name, they call it Long John, because of the fact that it is discovered that this ore, when refined, has the ability to extend people's lifespans. So it becomes a longevity ore. And this starts kind of a gold rush effect. And this is where things kind of stand when the game picks up in the year 2199. Is you have this water world that has sort of this Islander style Wild West frontierism, but you also have these kind of gold digging corporations that are coming in, to try to mine this ore and send it back to Earth and profit from it. So
Nice.
Yeah.
And I presume and we may have found this out already by the time folks are seeing this, depending on what's happening in the scenario. But I presume there's also the question of the planet's own ecology, and sort of questions about that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, well, there's some interesting elements of the planet's ecology itself. There's these mysterious creatures that are out in the ocean that the original colonists eventually came into contact, but it was very limited contact. So the original colonists are now typically referred to as natives. In the second edition, this one particular species, which took varying forms, they were originally called, in that edition, they were called Aborigines. In the new edition, in third edition, they're actually, it looks like they're actually being referred to as Nereids, like from mythology. And it is actually a more fitting name for describing these creatures. There's some elements of it that I don't necessarily want to give away at this point,
Sure.
for a couple of reasons. Partially to keep interest, and also just in case the game's creators decide to go in a slightly different direction with third edition than they did with second.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that so far, most of the stuff that they've shown for the new edition still follows along and coincides with the material from second edition. So, in anticipation for the new edition, I would still say, pick up the second edition materials, because it will give you backstory, it will give you information to draw on. I don't think third edition is really going to negate any of it, at least not from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really the materials that were previously published for this game are just phenomenal. I mean, there's so much to fuel your imagination from this game. It really is.
How long have you been playing Blue Planet?
Well, playing Blue Planet, I haven't really had a lot of opportunities to play Blue Planet. Blue Planet it's very unfortunate that it is not more widely known, more popular, because of just how wonderful the world is. The game system is extremely simple. It does have a high lethality to it. I mean, and they're open about it. You know, in the game, they will pretty much tell you combat in this game is intended to be deadly. It really is intended to be the last resort solution to things. So, but having said that, the game system is just very, very simple. As long as you're looking to play hard science, not looking to bring magic and psionics into your game, but if you're looking for a good science fiction game, the synergy system nails it. And part of that is it has to be a reflection of the fact that the game's creator is a science teacher.
Yeah.
You know, he teaches science, so that's reflected in the design of the game. It's reflected in the fiction of the game as well. So
very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you very much for talking to us about this. And I think we're gonna now once more throw this back to us. So I cannot wait to see what is actually happening in the game. Take care, folks. We have returned, and I am excited to see what happens.
Okay. All right. So coming back to this, when we before we went to break, Maggie had just taken out one of the goons underwater. The other goon was just becoming aware of the fact that his friend had a bad accident, and just to repeat the pun there. And Maggie had sent the go order to Fish, and I believe Chris, you said that as soon as you got the word, you were ready to go ahead and just spin and take a shot at Dimitri.
Yeah, I want to shoot Dimitri. Let's go.
All right, so
I like you.
So let's see. So Fish, you're going to be looking at you know what? I'm going to give you assassination on this one.
Okay. So then what's that, a 3d10?
So yeah, you're going to be rolling 3d10. Your initial target number your skill number is 2. I'm going to give you coordination on this one is 3. If you want to argue graceful in some option, I am all ears.
Fish leaps like a gazelle and
turns
around and pulls the trigger
from the water up in like a ballet-like motion to.
Doves fly up. We're in a church. Dives. 2 handguns.
Yeah. All right. So
you didn't mean argue like that.
Yeah, no. All right, so
I would want to do it in a graceful, controlled manner, because anytime you're taking out someone with sniping someone, you want to be controlled, and you need to do it as part of your breath. So I want to breathe in and then release the shot.
Okay, so is this going to be kind of one of those like things where it's just like you're looking down and then all of a sudden you're just up and fire? Okay, so 3d10. Graceful is 4 plus the 2 for assassination is going to be 6.
Okay.
Let's see how graceful you
headshot.
are. A 2. That's enough. 6 minus 4. It was almost a critical. Almost. All right. So you're standing there, you're looking at the water, you pull the gun snap up, and it is just enough motion out of the corner of Dimitri's eye that he spins to look at what you're doing. And that is why you managed to go ahead and plug him dead center. Just, that's all there is to it.
Nice.
And
Thanks.
it's strong enough to take out a lesser shark.
yeah, so
You might have
this
killed him anyway.
this just like dead center hits him, and he looks at you, and he turns and he looks at Drew, and he just says, "We'd have let them go. You'd have been paid.
We're gonna get paid.
I can't help you now." And he drops to the deck.
I'm just like, oh, hell.
Dancer, come get Maggie. We need to get her out of the area.
Still a goon left.
Oh, but this has been fun playing. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Come
so
back.
so,
Wait, what happened, guys?
Still
Well-
a goon left in the water, yes?
well, here's a question that I'm gonna ask. When you sent the go command, Maggie, did you send that as like a direct message to Fish, or was that kind of a group broadcast?
Probably to Fish. Because honestly, I thought the tranquilizers the whole damn time were for the goons and for Dimitri.
Okay, so you only sent that. So in other words, nobody else.
Nobody
knew
else
that.
has a clue. Well, maybe
Okay.
maybe Drew now. has
Well, yeah, I think
a
I may
small
have.
amount
I'm
of
putting
clue.
two and two together.
Yeah.
He's probably not happy with me
Okay.
because I, like him, would do anything to save his life. So
Well, no, the reason why that was the reason why that's an important question is because if you had sent it as a direct message to Fish, Fish was the only one that knew what to go on, which means that Dancer has no idea what's been going on this time. Dancer's
yes.
playing with another dolphin. So
No idea.
so at
And
this
better
point,
if she doesn't know about murder.
right. So at this point, I believe, Chris, you said that you were going to send a message to Dancer to that.
Come get Maggie, get her out of the area.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not leaving without that crate. I didn't do any of this to not leave without the crate.
Oh, don't worry. The crate's coming. But you're in the water. There's blood. I want you out of danger.
Okay. So I'm going to ask Dancer, you're headed straight towards to where Maggie is?
Yeah, she comes straight back.
Okay. All right. So what I want is I would like to ask you, you can, I'm going to ask you on this one. You can either go with Hunter, which is 4, or you can go with Sneaky, which is a 1.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to combine that with coordination. And I'm thinking in this case that it would just be straight coordination, not acrobatic or explosive. Unless you want to argue you make a point, make an argument for either of those two. But the deal is you've got Maggie kind of at one point, and you've got this Russian goon at this other point who has suddenly become aware of the literal dead weight that he is attempting to lift. And he is very aware of the fact that Maggie is the reason why he is now only 1 instead of half of 2. And you are coming from behind him. So I'm going to offer you an opportunity to basically be able to just kind of bull rush him. You can be sneaky about it. You can, I would allow you to use your hunter skill.
She actually has no intention of hitting the goon. She wants to follow the directive that she got, was to get Maggie out of there.
Okay, so
she's not worried about the goon.
You just want to grab Maggie. You don't want to like knock him out of the way while you grab her.
No, she doesn't know what's going on. She's just following the directive. Yeah.
Okay.
She wants to take Maggie on a ride on her jet ski.
Okay. So
I wish I could draw because now I want a dolphin on a jet ski. I just want you all to know.
Maggie
that.
riding her. That's
Okay.
the intention.
So I will. What I will say then is we're going to be looking at coordination, starting at 5 plus the 1 for coordination, and then I'm going to argue that the performance, the +2 to performance, actually the +2 to performance really wouldn't factor in on this one, because performance is more for making sure that it doesn't break or go wildly out of control when you're doing something.
Yeah, no, we want it to go wildly out of control, so that's okay. Just playing. Okay, so I'm 1d10 and looking for 7.
Correct. 7 or less.
Delightful. 2.
2. Okay. So that's your critical success, because your action value on that is going to be a 5. So what I'm going to argue or what I'm going to say is that when you snag Maggie, there's just between the disturbance in the water from your zipping by and the fact that Maggie is, now, arguing with this Russian goon underwater over who possesses the case, that you give just enough momentum to yank the case out of his hands.
Cool.
Nice roll.
Now she has the case.
Let me swim off. You grab my fin, and I do
Do a barrel
right.
roll. Sorry.
a barrel roll. Yeah, a barrel
yeah.
roll. Hopefully that cute dolphin boy that I was playing with earlier is coming along too.
Oh, do we got a whole pot of dolphins now?
Hopefully,
you don't
hopefully. I don't
have-
think keep up.
You don't have a whole pot of dolphins. However, the Russian guy, that last Russian guy, he now has a problem.
Yeah, I'm not worried about him.
Because there's a pair of great whites that are still in the area lesser whites that had shown up when Dancer was playing around. So, so you know that Russian goon is not in the water. Maggie has case. Dancer has Maggie. And at this point, it's other than the 2 great whites, who are probably a little more attentive to the Russian guy, maybe.
I'm still covered in blood, aren't I? Oh,
You're still covered in blood, but you're kind of zipping out of the area.
Yeah. I'm thinking also just by way of, I don't know, giving, sort of helping to ensure that things are dealt with here. I could just sort of tip Dimitri's body over the side, or perhaps lob it toward the other Russian guy and say, here, hold this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this point, the other Russian guy is still in the water, so
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to just go ahead and toss Dimitri off the, over the side, go right ahead.
It's, I think, the best way to dispose of the body at this point, given that there are other there's blood in the water, and surely sharks will be along shortly.
They most surely will. They most surely will. So, all right. I'm gonna take a real quick look here at the time, Jim, if you don't mind. I'm taking a look. We've got about 12 minutes. I know 1 or 2 people said that they would like to go ahead and pull the hard stop at 7. So what I'd like to do is go ahead. We'll just go ahead and kind of cut epilogue style a little bit here.
montage.
I'm just gonna ask a couple of real quick questions. We won't really worry about further role play or anything like that. So how do you guys want to handle the situation back at home with the last 2 Russian guys? You've got some options here. The first one is that the new Gaia collective has a fondness for Auntie Edna, and that they would be willing to step in take care of the Russian mafia guys and rescue the family. It does mean that you now would kind of be owing a favor to the New Gaia Collective.
Got the Gen Diver case.
So we'll get to that. I'll get to that in a moment. So you know that you could get them to come in and rescue for you while you're on your way home, but it does mean that you are going to owe them a favor. Now they're the home team, they're the local guys, so it's not like owing them a favor is necessarily going to be a huge burden. But they're also the xenophobic, quote unquote, eco terrorists. So it's possible they could need you to do something that would be less than reputable. Your other option is you could try getting in touch with the guys back and explain that, mistakes were made, things happened, their friends are gone. And you could say, we've got the case, we'll bring it back, you let our folks go and part ways and kind of keep the deal that had initially been offered to you. Your other option is Gen Diver. Now, this case has a tracking beacon on it. You can be darn sure that Gen Diver is probably already aware of its missing state and that they are sending people looking for it.
So I have a fourth option.
I
have my sniper rifle. Let's just blow their brains out.
That option.
You could certainly go ahead and do that. You could certainly go ahead and
I mean, that's what I'm going to argue at this point.
They threaten the family.
Okay. So then if you guys want to go down the role of solving the problem yourselves, you can go ahead and solve that problem yourself. It does still leave you with the question of what are you going to do with the case? Because
so Maggie's idea was getting Gen Diver to pay whatever their debt was in return for the case. Because then we can just GTFO out of here and then screw the mafia.
Okay. Just to be clear, you are talking about negotiating with a corporation the return of stolen property when there isn't really an authority force or an authority faction to necessarily protect
I can
you.
explain to them how we found it.
We located your property. We would like a reward for successfully returning your property undamaged, when in fact mafia could have taken it. So not only did we find your property, but we also helped take care of the people trying to steal it from you. I really think that deserves a reward, don't you?
Bat my eyelashes a few times.
Give me just a second here.
I have
one thing.
a couple of questions.
Sure.
One,
Quite a few.
one has to do with just so let me get this thought out of the way. Just basically telling them that that it didn't we weren't able to get it out and the sharks got them, and just telling them that. And I don't know if I mean that might get them to go away and regroup at least for a little while, buy us time to get everything else done. The other question, though, that I have that's perhaps more pressing, and I don't know if this is something that my character would even look into necessarily, but they might, and that is, what's in the case?
I thought about figuring that out as well, but I'm not
if that's
sure I
something
really...
that could be useful, then, that could help.
That's an excellent question. You would have to tamper with the case.
It's not worth it.
In order to find out what's inside.
Okay.
Better to just return it untampered with.
Yeah, Dancer is a proponent of the plans that don't involve murder.
I think my recommendation, with all due respect to those who wish to vent their bloodlust, is the idea that perhaps Jen Diver should be contacted. That we should perhaps try, essentially telling the goons at the house that basically that we weren't able to. It took too long to try to get the thing out of the shark. It was inside a shark, and there was blood in the water, and the rest of their crew, we did what we could. They were eaten by sharks.
Okay.
And if, and then maybe just if they don't, if either they don't buy that or they don't leave, then I would recommend calling in either solving the problem ourselves or calling in Jen Diver for help.
Okay. All right. So, Ken, do you have a thought there? It looks like you're mulling something over.
No, I like that plan. That's a good one.
Okay. So we are in favor of contacting Jen Diver and saying, hey, we have your stolen property.
Please help us with this situation. Oh, and it'd be great if you could throw us some money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also,
So,
give
yes.
the case to the goons, tell Jen Diver, and then, let them deal with the goons.
How does that get them onto the house?
That's true.
So, going with your group consensus, what I'm going to say here's how your negotiations pan out. You guys contact Jen Diver, and the Jen Diver associate, he comes on the line and he's like, we're really busy right now. What do you guys want? And you guys go ahead and say, hey, we found a case. It has your logo on it. We think it might be missing. And there's a little bit of time. And then he comes back and he says, does it look like this? And you say yes. And he asks you about some barcodes of serial numbers that you confirm. And they go, that is indeed missing and stolen property. We'd very much appreciate being able to get that back as expeditiously as possible. And they are asking whether or not the case has been tampered with. You say no, it's all sealed. They're like, hey, cool. At which point you go ahead and you explain to them that, hey, so the deal is we came across this because some folks came to us and they're holding our people hostage. The Jen Diver representative says, do you know how many people are holding your people hostage? And you tell them, and they say, okay, we'd like to apologize for the undue stress of what is, you reclaiming our material for us. Head home. One of our representatives will be there to meet you. And when you get there, there is indeed a corporate representative standing there at the pier waiting for you. There's also 2 squads of corporate security standing there. And in between them, looking nervous, but also somewhat relieved, is Auntie Edna and Little Bethan. You guys walk up, the corporate executive or representative walks up to you, and he says, we'd like to extend once again our thanks and offer a little bit of compensation. As you can see, we've handled the problem that you had. They go ahead and they hand you a cred stick, and they go, believe that this should put you back on the path that you need to be on. And they get in their little hydrocopter, and they take off. It's not enough to cancel your debt. It's not enough to pay you off. All right. So you guys are still going to need to take some jobs, and you're probably going to need to take some shady ones. But it's significant. It'll keep the lights on for a little while. And little Bethany certainly has an interesting story to tell when she goes back to school.
Hashtag sorry not sorry for the decisions I made. All I can say is poor Bethany.
Yeah.
We did it, fam.
Yay!
Nobody died. Nobody even got hurt. Well, none of us got hurt.
I was gonna say the ones that matter didn't get hurt.
That's fair.
I mean, you'll need a good shower after all that, but
This is
yeah.
true.
I mean, I stuck my hands in the stomach of digesting fish food, so.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and playing this. I think if we're good, I'm gonna go ahead and do our outros and get out of here. Rock, thank you so much for running this for us. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
we're gonna go around and just say, folks, any last thoughts you had about this game and where folks can find you, and we will start with our GM, Rock.
All right, thanks. So I can be found on the internet pretty much anywhere as Rock and Roll. As far as anything that I have coming up right now, I don't have anything specific. I'm always open to suggestions or ideas. So if anybody knows a game or something like that might be fun, let me know. So as far as this goes, it was I enjoyed having the opportunity to go ahead and actually run this. I've run the second edition before for a couple of friends that had never gamed, and it quickly devolved into a very interesting situation because I would show up and they would be like, "Hey, what are we doing?" And I had no plan, and I'd be like, "That's a great question. Let's get started." And it went on for like a couple of months like that. So they loved the system, they loved the setting and everything, and I think it should be obvious how much I love this setting. For me, this is for a high science fiction, no magic, no psionics kind of a setting. For me, this is perfect.
Awesome, excellent. Well, thank you again for running it. This was I like the setting. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. But let us now go around to our players, and we will go to Ken.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ken Davidson. My pronouns are he, him. On Twitter, you can find me at kdavidson925. On Patreon, www.patreon.com/davidson925. On itch.io, it's DAVIDSON925, davidson925.itch.io. If I could promote something, I just designed a Descended from the Queen game. So based on Alex Roberts' system for the Queen, it's called Working for the Corp. You play people working in a megacorp in a cyberpunk dystopia, and runners are coming, and do you defend a corp or not? I mean, a lot of times, of course, like I would never defend the corporation, right? But through the cards, you might end up figuring out that, you know what? Runners
They're
are probably
not
just going to
bad.
sell it to another megacorp anyway, and they're murderous. So maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't know. You'll decide. And I have some really brilliant people that helped me out with that game. Jess Meyer, Burst of Hope,
Oh yeah.
designed some cards for me. I have a brilliant artist from the Philippines named Dewada Manila. My personal friend is the editor, Guillaume Califonier, and Devin Apple did all the layout for me. So follow my Twitter because that's going to be like, I have a big announcement for that. It's going to be available physical copies pretty soon. So follow my Twitter. Yeah, I also have an interview coming out next Friday. I did an interview with my rival, Banana Chan. And that is going to be, we already did the interview. It's really funny. I really suggest you check it out. And it's going to be on Mixer, not Twitch. Mixer.com/fabled42, FABLED 42. It'll be airing next Friday. I'm sure I'll get promos to tweet it soon. So watch out for that. It's really funny. You should check it out. Banana Chan and I in the same space is always very funny.
Very cool, very cool. And all of that sounds awesome. We've actually played and also Jess is awesome. They've been on this channel before playing For the Queen. So it's really cool I really want to look into that. That's really great. So thank you so much for coming and playing. It was I enjoyed having a dolphin on the crew. It was great. And now let's go over to Theater Nerd.
Hi, my name is Theater Nerd. If you like Call of Cthulhu, starting tomorrow evening and every other week after that, I'm in a Wild West themed Call of Cthulhu game over on Uncanny Adventures again. This time it's like the 1800s in New Mexico. In the New Mexico territory, because it's not actually a state. And I'm playing a marshal who basically is Mulan. She doesn't want anyone to know that she's female. I decided it has nothing to do with the Mulan trailer. This was an idea I had prior to that even coming out. So that's what I'm up to in terms of streamed stuff. Hoping in the next couple of months to do more stuff on my own channel, RPG related. But right now I don't have a computer that can handle streaming and running games and all that fun jazz. So I have to build a computer before any of that'll happen. But the best place to find me, because I do random one-shots like this occasionally, would be at my Twitter at TheaterNerd221, because I usually try to remember to tweet things. So.
Very cool. Thank you very much for coming and playing. It was very cool. I did enjoy Maggie quite a lot.
You still like me after that? Are you sure you like me? Are you sure this was a good experience?
Only more so, really.
Oh, okay. I'm glad to hear it.
That was delightful. That was awesome. And finally, Chris.
Hello. I don't really have anything to plug. I have to say this game was very awesome. It was good to make use of my college degree. So, that was very nice to be able to actually make use of that. So yeah, follow me on Twitter. But nothing too exciting to plug right now. So.
Well, it was great having you on. I was very pleased we had someone who knew marine biology, so knew about marine life. So
all those years, those 4 years of college, yeah finally made use of it. Because I'm actually a programmer now, so I mean.
Yeah.
Wait, how did you go from marine sciences to computer science? I'm sure we can have this discussion.
Hey, science is science, right?
Actually, it's been useful. I've had to write a program that include advanced calculus, and it was a good thing that I had all the science because of all the math that I had gotten from my degree. So
there you go.
Okay.
It worked.
Very cool. All right. Well, as for me, I'm Jim Ryan. You can find me at OtherDoc on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I've got links down below to my website, Twitter, and YouTube channel. On Monday nights, I am running Deadlands over on Tales from the Grim. So if hopefully we'll be back to that tomorrow. It's just getting out of PAX, so we'll have to see if everyone's recovered. But looking forward to that. On Tuesdays this month, our short campaign is a series of linked fiasco sessions. We are playing it in train wreck mode. And so just carrying certain elements from session to session, all in this case, stuff set in the Los Angeles area. And so we're going to our second of our 3 sessions on Tuesday evening, and then on Saturday evenings we do Invisible Sun. We have our regular Invisible Sun campaign, The Edge of Paradox. So if you're into surreal RPGs, that's the one. So come and check that out. And again, we do one-shots on... them's the dice. Them's the dice right there.
Invisible Sun dice.
On Sundays, we do one-shots, and I will be back running on a week from today. A one-shot called To Serve Her Wintry Hunger. That is
I played
story
it.
game. Oh, it's a good one. It's a good one.
I just played it a couple weeks ago.
It's a story game where people are playing winter spirits, hunting their prey through a snowy forest.
You make a snowflake.
And yeah, there's arts and crafts and everything. And signups are still technically open for that. Right now, I'm probably going to close signups within the next day or so. So I've got signups open for that. I have signups are still open for the campaign we're going to be starting in January of Masks. That's a Powered by the Apocalypse game where we play young superheroes. Thank you for the subscription. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Yeah, so Masks we've got starting. Signups are open for that until this Wednesday, the 11th. So only 3 more days to sign up for that if you want to put your name in the hat to play young superheroes. So that's coming up, and then hopefully within the next few days, I'm going to get the signups out for the one shot coming just prior to Christmas, which will be Cthulhu Invictus. I will finally attempt to run Call of Cthulhu. It's during the Roman Empire, and the theme will be Saturnalia. So look for that. That'll be coming up soon. Again, just for any of these signups, you either go down to and click on RPG sign up, or go to jimyesthatjim.com and click on game sign up, and it'll all be there. As always, beginners are more than welcome. Well, when we hit the end card, I'm going to send a raid over to John Verall, who is running. They're running their Changeling campaign over there, and Changeling the Dreaming, which I have quite a fondness from years past, and that's I think they're doing 20th anniversary edition, and so we're going to go ahead and say hi to them. Feel free to hang on if you so desire and say hi to them with us. That again will be when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and I will see you all of a sudden. Farewell.